I think I have everything I need. Sup, nerds. Happy Friday. Sorry Wednesday didn't happen. This is my Theraflu because I am still sick. But there is too much going on, so I have to be live, even though I am sick. Love that. Thank you to everybody who subbed as I was getting started. Sorry I haven't been live much. I've been sick. Package? Oh, did you send something? I haven't had a chance to check my mail today because I haven't left my apartment because I am sick. AI music ruined a producer's album? Huh? Interesting. I'll take a look at that later. Oh, and I missed the new A$AP Rocky video. I'll definitely watch that later too. Hano is a great choice if you want Cloudflare support and non-Node support. Fastify is the best option in Node, is my general high-level understanding of it at this point in time. Deep. Yeah, the new DeepSeek stuff's really cool. Let me put that in the watch later as well. I'm so behind on YouTube. Let me thank all the subs I missed as we were getting ready. We got Boom Big Jan with the cheer. Thank you for that, as well as the resub. Blue Guy with 23 months of support, starting a hype train. NMG hitting 30 months. Damn. I know we'll be able to pop in as much going forward. Picked up a job late night shifts. Well, congrats on the new gig, man. Happy for you. Rainy Monday with the Prime. Chesk with the 5 bomb. Appreciate that. NCE with the 12 months, hitting that 1 year mark. Thank you for that. Hey, bud. Sorry, I had to set off the cat feeder. We got just Isabel hitting 27 months. God damn. Prezis with the 2 months. Mateo with the 2 months as well. Trow Gundam with the 13 months. Stu Lauren with the 5. Willie with the Prime. Zella with the 6 months. No Good Nick with the 42 months, 6 of tier 3. God damn. Thank you all. Gabe Duart with the 26 months. Shamu with the 7. This is what happens when I don't stream for 2 weeks. Everybody's subs come up. Aiden hitting the 6 months. Anthropic made everyone mad again. Yep. I also saw the open code thing. I was talking with the team earlier. Deep Twix with 3 months of support. Airy with the 6 months as well. Vermont feels like home in here. Thank you for the support 4 months in. Unrest Ben with the Prime. DJ Ruffus with the 2 months. Ariza Bogle with the 3 months. And Nemesis Codex with the 6. Thank you all. Thank you for the compliments. I like that everybody's like, as I have finally started to become a little more pro-Anthropic, all of a sudden everybody's now anti-Anthropic. It's a weird change. I was too ahead. But as Anthropic's #1 certified hater, I am overqualified for today. I am so excited. I have so many sources here. This is going to be a good one. I bullied Ben into doing the same video last night. I don't know what word it was upset with that. Oh. Fuck. Sorry, man. Am I sick? Yes, quite sick. But I'm not going to miss the opportunity. Yeah, Anthropic's good at models. They're just bad at everything else. Ping Discord. Thank you. I actually had it open, but I forgot to send that. Live talking about Anthropic drama. Done. Published. I heard vaguely about the Sonnet 4.7 leak, but not a thing I've touched. My vibe detector doesn't miss. It's just because I'm eternally skeptical, but also I'm easy to win around. There's like a certain level of like transparency, collaboration, and acknowledgement that you can do to win me over. And a big part of why I've been won over on Anthropic is obviously like the models are good, but I've been talking a lot more with a lot of people who work on Claude Code, both because I've befriended a handful of them, but also because of the acquisition from Bun. And nothing's changed. Not a fucking thing has changed. Da-da-da. I just realized I don't have a tissue box up here, which I'm absolutely going to need because I'm sick as fucking dog. So I'll be back in a sec. Much better. Have you talked here before? Okay, just trying to promote your shit in my chat. Also, sorry, YouTube chat. Blame YouTube for making their chat so broken. No, I just was genuinely impressed with Opus and Claude Code. Like, at no point was I trying to get anything out of Anthropic. I would just ask. Hey, bud. Cat just came in. Thank you, Maboa, with the Prime. Black Rain with the 8 months. Eva, always good to see you. 21 months in on that sub. Grunzin with the 10 months. I'm Daniel with the Prime. Addy with the resub, 37 months in. Finally understood Opus. Ready to consider paying Claude money. Don't they shoot themselves in the paw. Thanks, Claude, for saving your wallet. Well, very real. Nate Codes with the 41 months. Appreciate you, man. Always good to see you. Mr. Duran with the tier 1. Rexy X with the Prime. Thank you all again. Turbo Repo using Oxlent. That makes sense. I think I saw that already on Twitter. Cool. I think we can dive in. Let me do my offset. We'll do 1905. Give me some time. Awesome. Offset is done. And no, to those asking, nothing's been filmed yet. We are just starting. IBM's IDE got hacked. Fun. Joy. Oh, no, with my hair, literally nothing. I just haven't gotten a haircut in a bit. No one else is here, so my cats are being extra needy. Miles, come on. You want to be on video, you gotta come over. And yes, Eva, I saw you absolutely decimated. Poor Mintlify. Great work on that. Yep. Miles o'clock. Hi, bud. You're going to get this shirt absolutely covered in fur. I'm also very happy that they were cool about it and that they upped the payment after because of the severity of the pwnage. Your article was great too, as always. That's just expected from you. You're a very good writer and just generally good at the storytelling aspect of security stuff, which I think most security people suck at. It's part of what makes you such a unique asset in that space. You're not just like capable of pwning, you're also capable of storytelling and making it like a really compelling thing that anyone can understand. I have read many a security report on less complex exploits that are way harder to understand. You do super complex stuff and make it so anybody with like vague dev knowledge can get it, which is awesome. Lower stakes non-AI article. Let's see. The new macOS icons. Yeah, they're awful. I had one of my Macs was formatted to Tahoe and it made me feel sick. Thank you for even more resources to confirm why I hate that so much. Miles, you're getting hair literally everywhere. My entire shirt's covered now, bud. Here, stand on my desk while I clean off. Why would he ever want that when he could just follow me everywhere? The sheer volume of cat hair he puts everywhere is truly impressive for such a small cat. Let me finish off my Tamiflu or Theraflu, and then we can get started. God damn it, Miles! I'm gonna have to kick you out. Yes, the extension I've made is on GitHub and it's on the Chrome extension store. Doesn't work great, but it kind of does. We're waiting for some changes in Claude Code to make it more reliable. Fucking cat had litter on his paws or something, so I had to change. Didn't feel like trying to clean off my shirt when I could just wear a different one. Look good? That looks fine. I love how my hair looks right now, but good enough. I'm sick. I have an excuse for once. We'll go with it. Thank you to Nate for the 41 months and the Happy New Year wish. I think I got you guys already. I think I made up to Krista. Thank you, Krista, for the tier 1. Thank you, Garrett Bill, for the 3 months. Maple, always good to see you. Hope you're doing well, man. No, you're losing. Sad to hear you're losing reasons to be optimistic about AI. There's ups and downs for all of it. Ragagano with the 2 months. What have I done with my hair? Thank you. Yeah, just let it grow. Becklin 1341 with the 5 months. Appreciate that. Insanity Later with the 44 months. God damn, you guys have been around for a while. Lance the Pants with the Prime. Uber CI with the 15 months. Martin hitting that stream. Peter 601 with the Prime. Boomcan 90 with the Prime. Have a nice flight, Juan. And I hope I feel better too. I hope you don't get sick. Yep, I have that one queued up as well here. Yeah. Let me have my last sip of this Theraflu and then we'll get started. I hate that shit so much. It's just so gross. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, stay safe, Gabriel. I was thinking of you with all the news. Let's get started. Also, sorry, YouTube chat. Blame YouTube for making their chat so broken that it crashes all the time. Let's do it. Yeah, a lot of new people. I just hit the marker, so it's time to get started. Let's do it. Cool. Good enough. Yeah, I hate my hair right now. Yeah, that's fine. We'll rock it. Okay. Well, it finally happened. Anthropic has cut off... Retake. Well, it looks like it finally happened. I had a feeling this... All right, I want a better opening for this. Okay, I have a rough idea. You know, I was really starting to like Anthropic again. I've always been skeptical of a lot of the things about their business, in particular, their genuine just... I don't want to put this point. How do I want to open this? This is a tough one to open, actually. I can start with that. I'm going to be real. I don't even know how to open a video like this because it just kind of sucks. Anthropic has officially started cutting people off who are using the Claude Code plan to use other applications. If you're not familiar, the Claude Code plan is... If you're not familiar with the Claude Code plan, they have 3 subscription tiers that let you use Claude Code for... I don't want to word this point. That does not work. Okay. Cool. Much better. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to reopen because my voice is better now that I just coughed. 3rd time's the charm. I don't even know where to start with this one. Anthropic's officially started cutting people off for using their Claude Code plan with things that aren't Claude Code itself. On one hand, I saw this coming for a while, but on the other, it's just kind of a crappy move to play. And this sucks. If you're not familiar with the Claude Code plan, or if you're not already familiar, Anthropic has multiple different tiers of plan for usage of Claude Code. These are not the real plans. What the hell? Yeah. If you're not already familiar with the plans Anthropic has... What? Yeah. If you're not already familiar, Anthropic put out these plans for Claude Code when people started using it heavily because their API prices are absurd. So you pay a flat monthly fee of $100 for the 5x plan or $200 for the 20x plan and get way more usage. The amount of usage you get is nuts. I wrote some scripts to keep track of how many tokens I was using and what it would cost over API usage. And it's easy to do thousands of dollars of API usage through these plans because Anthropic subsidizes them with their other sources of income, people using the plans and not paying and using the full value of it, etc. This has been really useful for small startups, and these plans have been abused a bit. Since these plans have such generous limits, a lot of third-party builders have been implementing them in their own services. Things like Open Code, things like ClaudeBot, which we'll talk about a bunch in a bit, all have been using your auth through Claude Code to take advantage of the token limits you're getting. So you're still paying Anthropic the money. You're just using the API key effectively in other apps. At least you were, until they locked it down. Anybody who is using their Claude Code plan through apps like Open Code saw this error yesterday. This credential is only authorized for use with Claude Code and cannot be used for other API requests. Oh boy. This is a I think this is a massive misplay that is going to keep burning the good faith that OpenAI, I think this is a massive misplay that's going to keep burning the little bit of good faith Anthropic still has in the developer community. And I can't believe they did it, honestly. I have a lot to say about this, but I also am going to have much higher bills if I cancel my Anthropic plan here and use other apps. As such, we're going to do a quick word for today's sponsor. Cool. Where do we even begin with this? I first heard about this because Peter, who's the creator of ClaudeBot, posted I heard about this initially because Peter, who created ClaudeBot, posted the following error. I think he was one of the first people to see it because he was actively working on ClaudeBot when this happened. The error he saw was the LLM request rejected, the credentials only authorized for use with Claude Code and cannot be used for other API requests. You're not familiar with ClaudeBot, I've been playing with it a whole bunch. I actually have a Mac Mini set up in the corner here just to run ClaudeBot, so I can send messages via Telegram to this bot on my computer that runs Claude Code, or in my case, Codex, to do different things on my machine. It is super, super cool, but also uses a ton of tokens. Believe it or not, I actually think ClaudeBot is a significant portion of why this happened because it is absurdly token heavy. And the only way you can get away with doing things like these plans where they're doing potentially thousands of tokens of inference a month, or retake on that bit. Believe it or not, I actually think ClaudeBot is a significant portion of why this happened, even more so than something like OpenCode, because it's very token hungry. It burns through tokens, unlike almost anything else I've used before. It's super powerful, but it's very token hungry. And these plans work largely because you expect a large number of the users to not hit the usage limits. Like, I've been paying the $200 a month for OpenAI's $200 tier for a while now, and have certainly not done $200 a month of inference in it. Apparently, the average person on that plan does cost OpenAI money, like they use more than they pay for. But regardless, the way that this works is economies of scale. If you have millions of users on I'll do some math out actually in a sec. Apparently, there's something in chat I need to see. Yeah, I have this as well. Yeah. I'll get into the economics and some numbers in a sec, but first I want to make sure anybody who thinks that this is an accident or unintentional realizes the truth here. Another open source CLI for doing code stuff got hit as well. And they actually had in the PR where they removed Claude Code support this comment. The patch removes Claude Code support following a request from Anthropic to align with their terms of service. This is very Anthropic. They do a lot of stuff like this. They're actually the single company that sent the most DMCAs out on GitHub, because Anthropic was upset that they left the source code in through a source map in Claude Code, which is closed source, by the way. Reminder, just because there's a GitHub repo with a lot of stars does not mean Claude Code is open source. That is for a handful of pieces in community management. Claude Code itself is still closed source. They accidentally shipped source maps. People published the source maps that they published themselves and got DMCA'd for it. And countless DMCA requests have been sent by Anthropic on GitHub for this reason. They are not scared to hit people up and tell them that they're in violation of whatever and suppress what they're doing. It's almost Apple-like in that way. This is kind of how Anthropic operates. They want things done their way. They don't want you doing things your way. They want you to use the systems that they put in place to do things. They don't want you using other SDKs. They want you using theirs. They don't want you using other APIs. They want you using theirs. They don't want you using other CLI tools. They want you using theirs. Before we get into the long-term plans they have, I want to talk about the economics here. Let's say you have multiple different sub-tiers. You have the $20 a month tier, you have the $100 a month tier, and you have the $200 a month tier. Those are the right tiers, right? Yep. You have these different tiers. let's say the theoretical max that you can use in the $20 a month tier is $30. Let me make the fonts slightly smaller on these. For the sake of making this digestible, let's say that let's say the $20 a month tier, you could use $30 max. They said it's 5x more for the $100 plan. So that would be $150 can be used on the $100 plan. And they said 20x more for the $200 a month. That's 20x more than the 30, so that's 600. That's wrong because I know you could use significantly more than that, but we will just go with it. So let's say this is the maximum you can use for each of these. Generally speaking, people on the cheaper plan are not going to come close to their limits. They're going to use significantly less. I have these numbers for T3 chat, and I would be surprised if Anthropic's were significantly worse in terms of the split. My guess is the average $20 a month users probably using $8 a month of usage average. And as you get to the higher tiers, the percentage that they're using is going to get higher. So the $100 a month tier is probably going to be closer to using $70 a month average. And we'll do the bad numbers. We'll assume the average $200 a month tier is using $300 a month average. So how do these economics work out? Let's just do easy numbers. We'll say we have 1,000 users on this tier. We'll say we have 100 users on this tier. And we'll say we have the same 100 on this tier. I'm too lazy to do all of this math, so I'm going to use a better chat app, T3 chat. Switch to any model, pretty much. We'll use, I don't know. Just for fun, we'll use Sonnet. Do the math on these. Calculate how much money is made per month at each tier and how much money each costs. Do the net calculations. Turn off search. We don't need it. Cool. So for the 1,000 users at 20 a month, average is $20,000 in, $8,000 of costs, $12,000 a month profit. The tier 2 users, $7,000 a month cost, $10,000 a month revenue, $3,000 of profit. And then the tier 3 users cost $10,000 a month. So the total, about 15 a month profit, 10 a month loss. You still make money. You're able to subsidize the cost of your heaviest users by going after the cheapest users. And this is a very, very common pattern. This is a big part of why these expensive tiers were introduced, because there are these power users, people like the ones you see on Twitter, people like the super smart devs that are just maxing out all of these things, people like Ben and me and all of these crazy hackers that love abusing these plans. They couldn't get by on the $20 a month plan, and they would cost thousands of dollars of API usage, which we can't justify. The point of the $200 a month plan is that it is a loss leader that also helps a lot with marketing. This is the thing I think a lot of people are missing. The point of this $200 a month tier, isn't to make money for Anthropic. The point of this tier is to be marketing for Anthropic. This is here as a marketing expense that is subsidized by the money that has been invested in them, as well as the money being spent on people on these cheaper tiers, as well as people like me building services like T3 Chat that are paying the full API prices. This tier is so people like me will do free marketing for Anthropic. And it's clearly working. If we just look at the success of my recent videos about this stuff, specifically my I'm Addicted to Claude Code video, 122,000 plays in 3 to 4 days is really, really good for my channel. And it seems like people liked the video a lot. That is an incredible, like, it would cost a lot of money to get 122,000 devs to hear about your thing and see it in such a positive light. They got that for way cheaper by subsidizing my $400 of usage by $200. The point of this is to be a marketing expense to funnel people into Anthropic's coddled walled garden so that they will continue spending money on Anthropic stuff. So they'll use the APIs and spend the money. So they'll have more of their company sign up that might not use as much. They benefit a lot from this as a marketing spend to funnel down the rest. But this is also the problem. If the point of this tier is to get more people to see and have visibility on Anthropic product, using this alongside Open Code or Claude Bot or these other things that are nowhere near as directly tied to Anthropic does not benefit them in the ways they want. They're willing to take the loss on these tiers if it increases the likelihood that the average developer is locked into Anthropic stuff. They are purely doing this as a market spend, which means if it's not succeeding in their goal there, it isn't succeeding at all. The other issue is for smaller businesses or companies that don't have the ability to subsidize in the same way. Everybody from us with T3 Chat to companies like Open Code and even more so stuff like Cursor, they can't make the inference cheaper because they don't have access to the models. With open weight models, you can go buy some GPUs and spend some money up front to have more inference that you can then use alongside other things. But when the models are closed, you have to pay effectively whatever Anthropic decides. And if Anthropic decides you can't pay, they could do that too. In fact, XAI just got cut off, which is crazy. I have talked a lot of crap about the way Anthropic cuts people off from access to their stuff. Historically, people have pushed back on me saying, well, obviously OpenAI can't have access to Anthropic models. They're going to use the data to train. Or obviously Windsurf can't have access if they're going to be bought by OpenAI. They're going to use it to train. XAI wasn't using the models for training. They were using them for dev work internally through Cursor, and Anthropic cut them off. All XAI employees using Cursor no longer have access to Anthropic models. That's absurd. But this is kind of how Anthropic works. They want you to use their stuff the way that they intend. And if you use it in a way that they don't intend or as a person that they do not like, they cut you off. And this has been their pattern for a long time now. From DMCA and GitHub to rug pulling multiple companies using their models for traditional work or even just evals, to this type of shit, to now cutting off everybody for using their subplans for other things. It just sucks. It really does. Here's Tarek's statement, who is an employee on Here's Tarek's statement, who is an employee at Anthropic working on Claude Code. He's kind of their like DevRel person. Yesterday, we tightened our safeguards against spoofing the Claude Code harness after accounts were banned for triggering abuse filters from third-party harnesses using Claude subscriptions. They weren't really spoofing the Claude Code harness. They were getting an auth token and then using it, but sure. Third-party harnesses using Claude Code subscriptions create problems for users and are prohibited by our terms of service. They generate unusual traffic patterns without any of the usual telemetry that the Claude Code harness provides, making it really hard for us to help debug when they have questions about rate limit usage or account bans, and they don't have any other avenues for this support. The rate limit usage problem is because you obfuscate as much data as you can in it, and the account bans are bad because you're banning people as soon as you detect things. I think this is such a bullshit response here. This is absurd. Tarek, you're a friend. I appreciate you immensely, but you shouldn't let the legal team write these things. This is awful. You probably should have just not posted. This is why the supported way to use Claude in your own tools is via the API. We genuinely want people building on Claude, including other coding agents and harnesses, and we know developers have broad preferences for different tool ergonomics. If you're a maintainer of a third-party tool and want to chat about integration paths, my DMs are open. We've also heard it wasn't clear enough to end users that this was a terms of service violation, and that's on us. We'll make it clearer in the OAuth screen going forward. We've lifted all the bans that we're aware of that were caused by this issue. Please DM me your email if you were banned due to this and haven't been reinstated. That's one nice thing at the end. But this is bad. The problem here is that it is anti-competitive in the most literal sense. If you can get $600 to $4,000 of usage of Opus for $200 via Claude Code, or you could use a better harness, a thing that you prefer, something like Open Code or Cursor or something else, but the $200 gets you $200 of usage instead of $2,000 to $4,000 of usage, you don't use the better thing. It does not matter how much better a product you build. Anthropic, by having a better model, can force you to use a worse product by charging you more for using better products. It's the most traditional lock-in play I've seen in a long time. This is more transparent and more egregious than even like blue bubbles. It's absurd. Dax has a lot to say about this, as you would expect. It's their business. They have the right to enforce their terms however they like. One note on that, though, before I go further on what he had to say, it's actually not illegal at all. If you find a novel way to work around these types of limits, that is fully legal within US law. There have been previous cases, I forgot which one, but I've read a previous case where it was ruled outright that working around these things is totally fine, but it's just a cat and mouse game. They can try to restrict it, they can try and ban people, they can do whatever they want, but we can too by consuming the API in the ways that we choose. The terms of service can be whatever they want and they can ban you for it, but it's not illegal to do any of these things. They can't go after you with legalese. They can only go after you by banning you. Anyways, as Dax said, it's their business. They have the right to enforce their terms however they like. They are not obligated to provide completely open access to their services, but this is a hint at an underlying problem. Models aren't sticky, so it's not good enough that you're using Opus. They need you and your team to adopt their full stack of tooling so that it's hard to switch to a better model. This is the key. New great models come out constantly. It's honestly amazing we haven't had something better than Opus yet, considering how fast the stuff tends to move. I would expect to see some big releases from OpenAI in the next couple weeks at latest. The back and forth is going to continue as it always does. And if you get used to a tool like Open Code and you can just swap models with a command, Anthropic goes from making however much money they are off of Opus to nothing really fast. The way that these things go up and down is absurd. I've seen it in our own data. A model like Gemini 3 Pro can go from being 30 to 40% of our usage on the Pro tier to like 5 to 10% in literally 2 to 3 days. It's nuts. So Anthropic's going at all angles to lock people in right now. But as Dax said, thankfully, not all LLM providers want to operate this way. You'll hear more about that soon. And hear more about that, we certainly did. We are working with OpenAI to allow Codex users to benefit from their subscriptions directly within Open Code. Huge. OpenAI has been very collaborative, more so than I ever would have imagined. Like, sure, their name's OpenAI, but they've actually been really good about this stuff in general. They open sourced their CLI immediately. I still have my issues with Codex, but it's good. It's not great, it's good. But you can use your subscriptions directly within Open Code, and they are working to make sure Open Code stays whitelisted as an official thing that you can work with. It was already possible before, but now it's going to be like made official, which is huge. And if you're wondering about Google and Gemini subscriptions, Google is too. They do not understand any of this well enough to make a statement, much less block you, so you're probably fine. But also, Gemini 3 is not a very good model to use for day-to-day work. Complain in the comments all you want. Nobody is seriously using that model for real work right now, even Google employees that I talk to. Anyways. DHH reply to this? He did not. Where is the confirmation that your sub works automatically with the agent SDK? I know they confirmed this somewhere. Anybody have a link to that confirmation? Thank you, chat. Cool. All of that was bad, but here's where things get really, really dirty, in my opinion. You might not know this, but Anthropic ships their own agent SDK. You can think of this as somewhat similar to like the AI SDK that Vercel publishes, with the obvious difference that it only works with Anthropic models, because of course it does. Also, unlike the Vercel AI SDK, it's fully closed source, so you cannot see the source code for this. That makes it much harder to use because models are much better when they have access to the source code and can see how a thing works. I'm sure that they have Claude.md and LLMs.texted their way to something mostly usable, but it's a lot better when you have source code access, which they do not give you here. But where it gets much dirtier is that you can authenticate this with your Claude Code sub. So if you build an application around Anthropic's closed source agents SDK, and then you put this application out for people to use, they can sign in with their Anthropic sub and use the subsidized tokens. That is so dirty. This means that theoretically, if Open Code was to rebuild the entire platform of what they've built around the closed source Anthropic SDK, you would be totally within terms of service to use your existing auth, because they don't want you to have access to other things. They don't want you building at an abstraction level that allows you to swap off of Anthropic, and they will gladly subsidize your costs as a marketing expense and as a lock-in expense to force you onto their platform. This is just the diapers.com play. If you're not already familiar, this was Amazon destroying a company, specifically around selling things for new parents. Amazon acquired the parent company of diapers.com for $545 million. They had been trying to acquire them before, but the price was too high because they were doing too much revenue. So their solution was to undercut by selling diapers at a steep loss, literally intentionally losing money, to force the company to lose all of its market share so they could then buy them out and not have the competition at all anymore. That's what's happening here. Does it say on that same doc? Okay, apparently they don't even want you to use the Claude AI logins or rate limits for things built on the Claude Agent SDK. They claim you can auth with it, but then do that right after. If you literally right here, they say, if you've already authenticated Claude Code by running Claude in your terminal, the SDK uses that auth automatically. Otherwise, you need an API key. But then they say here that. Although I haven't heard of anybody being booted that was using the Agents SDK, but I also don't know anybody using the Agent SDK. So hard to know. Yeah, this is a mess. I hate this. I want to support Anthropic. I have a lot of friends there. I have as many friends, if not more so, at Anthropic than I do at OpenAI. I really like the model. Hell, I even use Claude Code. I'm still not somebody who's made it all the way to Open Code. I'm mostly in Claude Code still. But I still hate this. I'm still considering canceling my sub at $200 a month, and I would encourage you rethink yours as well. This is the exact type of dirty play that has had me skeptical of this company for so long. I just hate this. It makes sense, though. It's the same company that cuts off access randomly, that DMCAs a ton of people on GitHub, that just only likes to play the game the way that they choose. The moment you play differently than they want, they punish you for it. And I'm disappointed. Like, it's weird to me that the lab that is the most anti-developer and anti-open is somehow liked the most by developers. It is genuinely really frustrating. Anthropic has gotten away with this sentiment for so long because they had the best models for coding, and they still kind of do. GPT 5.2 is able to solve some problems Opus can't, but it's also much slower. The ergonomics of using it day to day just aren't as good. I find myself reaching for Opus still for coding, but I've never been more excited for a better model to drop because I don't want to support a company that operates this way. This just sucks. As I do in most of my videos like this, I would like to remind y'all at Anthropic that you still have time to fix this. I will give you a quick list of all of the things you have to do. Open source Claude Code immediately. Like, it is already a year later than it should be. That needs to be open sourced now. There's no reason to be hiding that source code. Reverse this decision. Make it easier for developers to apply to be officially blessed as an OAuth application that uses the rate limits in the existing subscription tiers. Donate a bunch of money to one of these open source solutions, ideally things like Open Code. Like, these products are essential and are helping elevate the success of the tools that you're trying to build in the world that we're building for. So support them, don't ostracize them. And cut the shit. I don't know how else to put it, but stop doing things like this. Have some outside counsel that doesn't work at Anthropic, that doesn't glaze y'all immensely, to tell you before a decision like this is going to happen, to say, hey, wait, this might piss off developers. We should rethink this. Your goodwill with devs is dying, and it's dying fast, and it's 100% your fault. And I am going to continue speaking out against this, even though I'm now technically an Anthropic investor because you guys bought Bun. I don't care. I'm going to give you shit when you act shitty. And a lot of other people are waking up to it too. I'm no longer the one Anthropic hater. You are turning most devs into haters because you're fucking up. Stop fucking up. It's that easy. Just cut the shit. You might feel special because your model's slightly better. You might feel special because you were early. You might feel special because you quit OpenAI and now you're competing with them. Cool. You're not fucking special. Get over your shit and fix it. That's all I have to say. You know what you're doing wrong. You know in your hearts that you're doing it wrong. Get over yourselves. It's not that hard. I've had to do it enough times myself. Fix your shit. Stop taking from the devs that you're already taking from to build your goddamn models, and behave a little bit. Just be a good faith player in the space. And if you're looking for examples on how to do that, take a look at OpenAI. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. I got nothing else for y'all. Just cut the shit. Peace, nerds. Cool. they won't find much success because we are very strict on our token limits. And also we have a lot of this does not make sense for a shitload of reasons. God, some people are being so stupid about this. Final note. Yep. Totally agree. I know that the auth has been temporarily fixed, but it'll get broken again, I'm sure. Cursor isn't doing this. So Open Code can have Claude. You just can't sign in with your Claude Code sub. Cursor doesn't let you sign in with other subs. You have to use your Cursor sub with Cursor. Gemini 3 Flash has been annoying me. Light models, you need a very specific use case for, and which one is best varies a lot on the use case. The MCP is over. I will save this for later. Thank you. Let me thank everybody I missed while I was doing that. Thank you, Insanity Later, for the 44 months. Micklin, I think I got you already, but regardless, the 5 months, appreciate that a ton. Lance the Pants with the Prime sub. Uber CI with the 15 months. Peter with the Prime. Boomcan90 with the Prime. Artem with the cheer. Back on streams after the holidays. Have I noticed any meaningful differences between normal GPT and the Codex counterparts in Cursor? Yeah. Long story there. Not really, though. Muffin Flinger with the Prime. Thank you. Barak, hopefully I got that right. Thank you for the Prime. Yash, the Legend. Thank you for the 30 months of support. So Yash, can I buy you a $200 a month sub on Cursor or something to make you use AI more? I know you're still not using it much, and I would love to see what happens if you have unlimited inference. Prime sub from 0xc3. Thank you, man. Hector with the cheer. Thank you for that. Dr. Dory with the 11 months of support. Thank you for streaming through the man flu. Yeah, doing my best. Brian the Boy with the 2 months of support. Thank you. Jiraj with the 12 months of tier 3. Fucking legend out here. Thank you for that. If he needed more than $200 a month, then I would pay more. Oh shit. That is good to hear, Yash. Yeah, I'm happy to cover this and subsidize it for any absurd uses that you want. I would be very curious to see what you're using it for. I'm planning on doing a minimum spend at the company where every engineer that works at T3 has to spend at least $200 a month on inference. And if you want way more, I'll give it to you. I just want to encourage that we as a company burn tokens to come up with shit, to try things. Thank you, Jack, for the 4 months. Why isn't Twitch mobile app let you use the Prime sub? Oh, man, that is a long-ass story. I'll just say Apple. Using the Obsidian plan, which gives you 100 full context window sessions per month, which is more than enough. Man, okay, if it is, but I'll give you more if you need it. What was your last message? Interesting. That one appears to be dead. Why would using T3 chat for open code be any different? Because it's $8 a month and we don't have the ability to subsidize costs the same way. We haven't raised $10 billion fucking dollars. That's why. We do not host convex ourselves. We're using the cloud plan. I don't bother self-hosting anything I don't have to. Speaking of convex, though, thank you, Jamie, for the 10 bomb. Appreciate that a ton. Thank you for stopping by. Also, saw your tweets earlier. Very useful. William, thank you for the 11 months. Trav, thanks for the prime. Cocondrillo is reminding me of John Dillo's name. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the tier 1. Yes, you can self-host convex. They're like generously open source, like almost absurdly so. Jamie personally, every couple of weeks, will try and deploy convex on some other new cloud and make a bunch of improvements and changes. Like you can throw it up on Railway in like a few minutes, if I recall. Nidex with the 43 months of tier 3. Fucking legend out here. God damn. Then we got 2 people doing bombs. God, you guys are being way too generous today. We got Koken Drillo again. Thank you, Drillo, for the 5 bomb. Appreciate that a ton. I see you've only sent 3 messages and you're gifting this much, man. Super generous. Genuinely concerned about what could happen if Bun if Anthropic continues down this path. I believe Jared did an outstanding job with Bun, and it would be unfortunate if his work were negatively impacted by organizational decisions beyond his control. I wouldn't worry too much. Bun is one of those projects that like exists because of absurd levels of motivation in places that don't make sense. I don't foresee that changing. If everything was to fall apart, Bun is still open source and MIT licensed. He could leave and go maintain it separately and make a new company. This is kind of what happened with Biome, where Biome died. Well, Rome died, and then Biome came out of the ashes with a couple people maintaining it, and Biome got way further than Rome ever did after, which is still crazy. And then 420 Koala, fantastic username. Thank you for the 20 bomb. Fucking legend out here. What was I ignoring? I have so many videos about browsers, man. I just don't look at the comments very much. The average person doesn't leave YouTube comments. This looks like fun. Outer Wild suggestion was fire. Fuck yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, I am very sick right now. Claude Code is closed source because Anthropic's convinced they're special. I heard about this paper, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I will save this as well. Let me thank all the other subs before I forget. We got Fred. Why should they subsidize your plan if you're not going to use their product? What's the incentive for them? It's that they're subsidizing something so egregiously, taking advantage of the fact that they can subsidize because of the money they have, and just artificially locking out competition in the process. Diablo with the 50 bomb. What the fuck? You guys are way too generous. Gotta play Outer Wilds? Yeah, please do. Like, seriously, if you're looking for... If you like games at all, and you want to just have one of those, like, what the fuck experiences, Outer Wilds takes 20 to 30 hours to beat, and there's a, like... Not... Like I would put it at a conservative, like, 40 to 50% chance it changes how you think about gaming forever, and, like, a 20 to 30% chance it changes your life. The less you know going in, the better. It's not Outer Worlds, it's Outer Wilds. This one. This is by far the best gaming experience I've ever had. It's probably the best media experience I've ever had. There's nothing like it. The less you know going in, the better. Go in blind. Use a controller if you can. If you have an Xbox or PlayStation or Switch controller you can plug into your computer and use, I highly recommend it. The less you know going in, the better. Just take my word. If you leave stream to go play this right now, I will be honored, not offended. It is unlike anything else, and you can only play it once. There's nothing else quite like it. I can't recommend it highly enough. Just give it a shot. And if it's not for you, it happens. If you actually put 4 hours in, and you still don't like it, it's just not for you, DM me. I will briefly try and convince you. And if I fail, I will just cover the cost. I will Venmo or what the game cost. I'm that confident in it. There is nothing else like it. It is magic. Just give it a shot. I think you'll be surprised. Scaling latent reasoning via looped. I saw this one a while back. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'll re-add that to look at later. Sadly, no Mac version. Filter by the artificial analysis stats. Good idea, not trivial, sadly. And yes, I know about almost every Easter egg and hidden thing in Outer Wilds I know about. I got to watch some of them made. I got to playtest the DLC and was the first person to beat it. It was magical. Let me thank all the other subs I missed while we were doing all that. Gamer Girl and Co. with the 22 months, almost 2 years, currently using Cursor and Opus to reverse engineer your animation software, having a really good time. Hope you're having a good time with Cursor. It's wonderful software. Jason Dockton, always good to see you, Jason. Hope you're doing well. 36 months in, goddamn. Bodie with the Prime, Ryan Winchester. Quite an account to gift, appreciate that. Ebrebs, hey, thanks for all the latest info. Created Polybench. Oh shit, very, very fun. Thank you for the 24 months and happy to encourage. Rice Music with the 7 months of support. Thanks for the great videos, learning so much. We've been using browser-based to build the product internally. Thankful for the companies that sponsor me and my choice of sponsors. Appreciate that. We put in so much work. Like half or more of my week is just dealing with sponsor stuff because I'm so picky. I could just take whoever and not think about it and make plenty of money, maybe even more, and just chill whatever. But I really want to make sure the companies we work with are things I would honestly, earnestly recommend. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but we do our best. Skate Story, I'm so excited to play this. I haven't had time to sit down and play something. I'm so excited to. I've been waiting for that game for like 4 years. And again, thank you to all the gifts from Coco, from 420 Koala. I'll give you the full name read. Farthest Logic with the Prime, thank you. Anth Codes with the Tier 1. Diablo again with the 50 bomb. Thank you so much for that. Mitch, I missed your 5 bomb. Thank you for that a ton. Oh shit, the Elixir stuff dropped. I also know that Jose mentioned he was going to mention me in a tweet. See if that happened. He was like asking for permission to quote me. And it's like, you have permission to say literally, you can make up quotes for me and I don't care. He's earned so much good faith for me. He can do whatever. Thanks for the heads up though, Ryan. I'm very excited to dig into all of this. Thank you, Pierce Codes, for the 7 months of support, and Muffin Finger for the 5 bomb. Appreciate y'all so much. Confessions can keep language models honest. Is there a English version? Aha. There we go. Saved for later. Anthropic Reddit mods are cracking down. Do you have any links showing this? Because I would love to put that in the video. Also, very sorry, YouTube chat. It's been so broken. Thank you, Greg, for joining the club over on YouTube. Thank you to the 1,474 people watching on YouTube. God damn. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. There's a little button under the stream that you can hit that costs you nothing. It's the like button. If you hit that like button, it makes it so more people see this and can come hang out. And if enough of you hit it, I'll consider showing the YouTube chat more. It's just annoying as hell to do right now. Apparently I had 8,100 views at a point. What the fuck? What was going on? I've never seen that before in my life. What? Jesus. That's crazy. Refreshes on chat? Oh, because the chat broke. That actually makes sense. Yeah, if YouTube chat crashed and people had to refresh, that would do that. I treat YouTube chat as secondary because it's fucking broken all the time. AI costs. There's so many messages. I can't keep track of all this. I'm sorry. You should take as much advantage of free things and cheap things as you can, student discounts, deals like that, and work to get an employer that can subsidize the cost and make more money. But like, use the models to get better, to make more money, rinse and repeat. Thank you, Jordan, for the Prime sub. Thank you, WLFT, for the tier 1. Appreciate y'all. This seems fine. We integrated artificial analysis into the T3 chat model selector. Anthropic doesn't want the smoke. I hope they wake up and play nice. I really hope so too. Thank you all for hanging out. I've not looked at Goose. Outer Wilds is Windows only, yeah. It works on Linux through all the crazy Proton shit, but yeah. This I kind of want to film. I can close all these now. Oh, they're already building the open code Claude or Codex integration. That's hilarious. Open source Plex player. Oh boy, can you drop the link, Devi? I was considering vibe coding a full Plex alternative. I don't know how good Jellyfin is for music, which is my main use case. Wild that they got this in that fast. They got this idea from me convincing Convex to build Chef. I did see the archive of all of Spotify. Yes. This is the link for, oh boy. Seems like it is mostly focused on video. Very cool. I'm going to do my own music focused alternative probably. I have a lot of music that's not on streaming platforms. A lot of it's in FLAC, but a lot of it's just not available other places. Did anybody find examples of Reddit censorship from the Anthropic mods? Because I would love to include that in the video if someone has it. Yeah, Outer Wilds works really well on Proton. So if you're using Linux, it should work great. I am very much a SoundCloud and Bandcamp user. I love them. And you found this archive link for that. Interesting. Yeah, anti-AI to that level in like in media kind of makes sense. In here, it does not. Interesting. Life in Music Player app. The Outer Wilds VR mod is nuts. I really want to play that at some point. Ugh. No deleted threads, apparently. I find that hard to believe. Okay. Yo, Adam, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Disco Option, for the 7 months of subscribing, by the way, too. Outer Wilds on sale on Switch. I wouldn't recommend the Switch version. It does not run great. Personally recommend the Steam version. Or Xbox or PlayStation are fine. Younger than usual, because I shaved like a day or two ago. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, that it's Twitter got banned from using it. Yes. With GeForce Now, it'll run fine as well. Yes. I've not had a chance to try Frosty yet. I've been way too busy and sick. Mostly sick. Played Outer Wilds and recommendation. Holy shit. Fuck yeah. Ryan James Cassidy, thank you for the Prime. Love that disco. Yes, they are that insecure. That's just how they are. And they also think they're special and can do whatever they want. Adam, you're in a hotel. Where are you? Are you in SF? Or are you in Florida with your team? Oh, yeah, you were with Tej. I remember that now. Kansas City. That's a interesting option. Thank you, Ryan James Cassidy, for the Prime. So appreciate that a ton. The layoffs suck. I'm so sorry to hear that. No, the Supabase problem is that once you're on the pro tier, everything you do costs money. Convex's documentation on the billing stuff is actually really transparent, I feel. Yes, I saw Rob Pikes crash out. I think I'm going to do this Convex video. Sorry, Jamie. I saw this video from Robin, and it was such a compelling format that I had to borrow it. I will be shouting him out heavily. Don't worry. This will be a fun one. Sorry, Jamie. You can hang out for this. I would appreciate it, just so that I don't overstep and you can call me out if I go too far. I'll save this. Let's do it. Is that the same guy? Oh, it is. Cool. I'll follow him. Oh, shit, Zach. Can't wait to see you there. If you've watched my content at all recently, there's a pretty good chance you know what my favorite database is. I don't want to word this point. If you've been watching my videos, if you watched my videos over the last 6 months, you probably know about how much I love Convex. If you've somehow missed that, don't worry, we'll go in detail, but we're not necessarily here just to talk about Convex. We're here to talk about the state of databases and how we build things with databases, especially if we're using AI to do it. I'm talking about this for a handful of reasons. The big ones are some stuff I've been seeing on Twitter. What a surprise. Peter here has been building a ton of stuff with AI recently. And when I say a ton, I can't properly explain it without just showing you his GitHub. It's a little absurd how much stuff he has been building. And he's recently gotten Convex pilled. He just migrated a ton of things over. Everything worked immediately. And he's super impressed. The main reason I'm doing this, though, is another video by another creator. Robin just published this video about why he stopped using Supabase. And I have a confession to make. I've never built anything serious with Supabase. So watching this video, I learned a lot about building with Supabase. And yeah, it's time to get off Supabase. I want to be very clear. This video is not being paid for or even approved by Convex or anybody else in the database space. I am filming this not because I want Convex to like me or because I want to get some money from somebody. I'm filming this because I want to make sure you don't trap yourself as you're building more and more applications, and that you build on things that I actually like and recommend. That said, we are being paid by, or none of the companies we're about to talk about are paying me, or nobody we're talking about today is paying me for this video, but in fact, the only people paying me for today's video are, and just to be very, very clear, the only people paying for today's video are this sponsor. Cool.
So as you already know,
I want to find the specific point about pricing. As I said before, Robin's video is awesome. It's linked in the description. I highly recommend watching it, but I want to highlight one particular point from it before we go through all of the reasons why I think you should stop using Supabase and use something super useful like Convex.
real problem. And trust me, this matters even if you're like me and you don't mind paying for things that are actually worth it, because Supabase punishes you for having ideas. Their free plan limits you to 2 active projects, and if you want to test a third one, a fourth one, or a fifth one, you have to delete or at least pause one of the old projects, making them temporarily inaccessible. But the real kick in the nuts happens when you do decide to give Supabase money, because their billing is organization based, and the moment you upgrade an organization, which you can think of as a group of projects, to the Pro plan, you lose the right to have any free projects in that organization. Think about it like this. If you have 5 hobby projects and you decide to upgrade one of them to the Pro plan, they will all automatically be converted into paid instances. Each, here's the kicker, to a minimum of $10 a month. So if you have 10 ideas you're playing with.
Yeah. I did not know this was a thing. I had no idea at all. And just for contrast, here is my dashboard on Convex. Want to guess how much money this account costs me? This is my personal account. It's on the free tier. Wait, no, I do have this one on the pro tier. Oh, shoot, that's an address I don't want to have leak. It's a mailing address, so it's fine, but annoying. Am I actually on the pro tier for this? How much am I spending? Let me find my history here. Oh. Jamie, is this a comped account? Are you comping my personal? My personal's comped? God damn it. Okay, I did not know that. But I am almost positive it would have been free otherwise because of how cheap they are for things that aren't getting much traffic. You can have 40 deployments for free and up to 6 people on the team as well. That is absurdly generous. Like, absolutely absurdly generous. And even though I was wrong and technically I am comped on just my personal, by the way, I'm paying quite a bit of money on the paid tier because it's important to me. Yeah, I have 25 projects here. This would cost $0. This would be free. That is insane. That's just one of the aspects, though. There's a handful of aspects I want to talk about here. So why Convex and not Supabase? The first piece was the pricing, which I can go a lot more in detail on, and we will in a second. Next piece is the capability of the platform. There's so much cool stuff that we'll talk about here. But one of the most important is agent development. So let's finish up pricing really quick because there's a lot to think about here. It's important to understand with these platforms that they aren't just databases. Neither Convex nor Supabase are just a place to store data. Supabase they are both open source and they're both built on top of SQL. Supabase is much more leaning into it being Postgres, and you can just query the Postgres with SQL traditionally whenever you want. They also have their SDKs and platform on top where you can use them as a row-level security handling system to choose what users see what, and then connect a user directly to the database through Supabase's compute plane in order to sync data up and down when things change. Convex is a much heavier abstraction. Like the fact that Convex uses SQL under the hood is not something you should think about or be concerned about because you'll never touch it. Supabase is a different way of doing Postgres. Convex is a different way about doing application data. So they're very different in that regard, but in terms of what they offer, at least seem similar. Both have storage for files both have object storage for files and things, both store your data, both have sync in real time where data changes and immediately appears on the client, both have the ability to run some compute on their platform, both have auth, but the way they work around that varies. Both have SDKs for everything, but there's a huge difference in how they think about stuff. With Convex, you write queries. Let me delete that first arrow. With Convex, you write queries and mutations. With Supabase, you model the data and then access it directly. Convex has you write real code to choose what data goes to users. Supabase has you architect the database to expose certain data to users. If that sounds scary to you, it's because it is. And the few people I know who are still using Supabase, I highly, highly recommend that they don't use Supabase as a sync layer, and instead they focus on Supabase as a place to store and handle Postgres. But let's go more into the pricing now that we understand this, because they both offer compute, they both offer auth, they both offer file storage, and all these other things. The free tier on Supabase gives you up to 50,000 monthly active users, a 500 megabyte of storage database, and 500 megs of RAM on that, shared CPU, 5 gigs of egress, 5 gigs of cached egress, a gig of file storage, and support. Once you bump up to the $25 a month plan, which you have to pay for separate from the $10 a month per project, 100K of monthly active users, 8 gigs of disk size, because you have to think about these things as they're a traditional compute platform, 250 gigs of egress, 250 gigs of cached egress, 100 gigs of file storage, yada, yada. But this is the big thing. You have to think about the box it's running on, because Supabase is running a real database and compute on it that users connect to. So getting this all right, obnoxious. I always forget the URL. Convex does things a little bit differently because their compute works differently too. If you've seen my videos where I'm talking about the difference between if you've seen my videos covering the difference between things like, how do I word this? You see my videos covering the difference between Vercel and Cloudflare, where I talk about how their compute's abstractions at a different level. Convex is similar in this regard. They built their own compute layer similar to Cloudflare's that runs isolates that allow you to connect to this code you write that is on the same box as the database. So everything is way faster, and it also can be way more dynamic. You never have to worry about your database sleeping on Convex because it costs them a lot less money to run it. Your compute isn't running unless somebody's connecting. All of these things are just differences in the architecture that came from the Convex team having a ton of experience with this when they built up the data platforms at Dropbox. They know databases and scaling them really well, and they scale up and down wonderfully for this reason. A database on Supabase costs Supabase A database on Supabase costs Supabase the same amount of money whether or not there's any traffic on it. A database on Convex costs them a lot less when it's not in use, and it costs them more when it is, which means that the costs reflect the usage much better, and it feels a lot less bad as a result. And you can see that as we scroll. You get 1 million function calls a month for free, and then it's $2.20 for the next million. You get 20 gigabyte hours of compute, and this is measured by how many gigs of RAM over how many hours. That's a lot of compute because you're probably not doing much compute on Actions, depending on what you're doing with Convex. Database storage, still not a lot of storage, 500 megs. I think that's actually the exact same as with Supabase, but it's 50 gigs of storage on the Pro tier, and then 20 cents per gig when you go over. And that's also still the $25. And we'll talk about the per developer month piece in a little bit because it isn't as important as you think. File storage, yada, yada. All these numbers are fair. The only one I would argue is slightly expensive is file bandwidth, where they charge you 30 cents per gig of file read out. But they've also been building things to let you put that on a CDN so that you don't have to pay it. In fact, the CEO is in chat, and before I even said this, said the same. The file bandwidth costs are too high, but he's also building things to fix this. In particular, he is building a new Convex component, which a whole thing we'll get into, for Convex file storage to put it on a CDN like Bunny. Super, super cool stuff. Yeah, you also can pay for usage on the Pro plan on Convex without having to bump to the Pro tier. They're just good. Like, I don't know how to put it other than that. Like, these are guys who deeply understand us as developers, especially in the TypeScript world, that deeply care about us and DX and pricing and all these things. Anytime something feels unfair, they know it first and they're already on it. Like, how telling is it that I got sniped out as I was about to say this is too expensive? Jamie's typing it in chat at the exact same time. We've never talked about this before. We just both know it because we're both realistic. And they are so realistic about these things. Yeah. So pricing, they're slaughtering. It is very fair, very good. Scales great. I am spending a decent bit of money on Convex, and I know all of the ways I can cut the bill, but I also have no interest in doing it because the things I'm doing that cost more money, specifically, we are doing just insane amounts of database bandwidth because I generously read from the database to cache data on the client. If I was to tone that down at all, we could cut our bill in half, but I don't care because it's still cheap enough. I just don't. And on our main account for T3 chat, we are spending thousands of dollars a month on Convex because we want to, because it's great. And I wouldn't change a thing. I am very, very happy with what we're spending. It is not much more than we were spending on Planet Scale before. So that's enough about pricing. I want to go into this first. We're going to change the order a little bit because the capabilities will become clearer after we talk about how building with Convex works. The biggest difference between how Convex building works and something like Supabase is that all of the state is kept inside of the folder in your project. Let me go spin up any of my Convex projects. Let's do... None of these are good examples. All right, this different version of this. CD image experiment. This is the latest version. Bunix Convex Dev. Bun Dev. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. This actually might not be the best example because it's a mono repo and it won't showcase things as well. I'm just going to use the T3 chat code base. Fuck it. Cool. I have a bunch of different projects using Convex heavily. This is T3 chat, like the actual T3 chat code base. And you'll see Convex is a folder here in the project. There's the source folder for all of the front-end code using TanStack Start, but there's this other folder next to it named Convex that handles all of how Convex works. You have a schema.ts file that describes all of the things that your database has in it. Ours for this is complex because this is a very complex app. But if I go to a simpler app like my new Image Studio thing I've been working on, you will see in here, if I switch over to the package back in Convex, the schema is quite a bit simpler. Comically so. We export the default defined schema. It has generations, which is a table that includes user IDs, prompts, the mode, the status, created at, completed at, and indexes. Generation output, which is a table, has user ID, generation, model, display name, etc. for all of the things that we want to show in the UI. Editing threads for the conversations where you're editing things. It's just a cool feature I added. But all of this is tables that are defined in the project as a file in the Convex folder. Normally, you would need some abstraction for this, like an ORM of some form, or a bunch of craziness around migrations and management to keep track of what the state of the database is between the server and whatever you're consuming it from. The database and the server and the client being kept in sync is obnoxious. This is a big part of why I originally built Create T3 app in the T3 stack, to try and streamline how you build the relationship between these things. Where things become magical, though, is how you consume this stuff. If I want to expose generations to users to access them, I have to define a function for that. So if I want to list all of my generations, here is how I do it. I have a query, which is imported from their library. It has a limit as one of the arguments, so you can optionally limit how many things you get back. And then you write TypeScript. I have this getAuthUserID function that checks and gets a user ID. And if there is no user ID, I return nothing because you're not signed in. Then I have a limit. I either use 50 as the default or I take the limit you passed me. And then I get the data. Context.db.query generations with index using one of those indexes. And here's where some of the magic starts. Watch what happens if I delete characters. Oh, that's a type error because it knows exactly what the database has in it. What if I hit a different table that doesn't exist? Oh, all type errors because it doesn't exist. This is awesome. It makes it way easier to know when your code is broken, because you'll get errors in your editor, in your LSP, and your agents can get those errors too. Starting to see where this gets helpful. Also of note, nothing has to be done in order to get this code to work on your account. You don't have to go configure anything in any dashboards. You just run it. If I want to change what data is exposed, like I want to limit access to generations here. I want to make it so only certain whitelisted users can see it or something. I don't go to a dashboard and configure some shit. You can't do it that way. You make changes to your Convex deployment by editing the code for your Convex deployment. Everything you can do on Convex can be done in this folder. That's the magic. AI is really bad at state. It's really bad at remembering what things are set up as in the database versus how they're set up in your editor versus how they are in prod versus dev versus what you're working on right now versus the pull request that you're referencing. None of that works that way in Convex because it's all just a folder with files that describe the infra. It's so nice. Everything is just described here. Everything that my Convex deployment does for Image Studio and for T3 Chat is just defined in this folder. So if an agent wants to make changes, it can just edit the files. And when you edit those files, you will have the run dev. I think I can do that here. Yeah, cool. And now when I make changes, as long as you're running the convex dev command, those changes will ship up to my dev instance immediately. Let's say I stop including some field in here. Like I remove streaming as an optional status here. It deployed. I can re-add it. It deployed. Let's kill completed this time. Oh, it can't because there's a bunch of things in the database that match that field. That's really annoying. Let's go fix that. So this is image Claude Code, I believe. I have all of my data in this database. And it has all of these things that are status completed. Here is one of those oh shit moments I have with Convex. I'm going to manually delete this data. Confirmed. I switched back to my terminal. As soon as the data was deleted, it redeployed by itself. I didn't have to tell it, you can deploy now. It knows it can't deploy because of that data. So when the data's gone, it knows it can now push because everything is synced by default. It's magic. And do you know how good this is for unblocking your agents? This is so good. There are so many weird edge cases that I used to deal with all the time because my data was in different states in prod, in dev, on one machine, on another machine, and in my code base. They're all just gone now. It's very clear when something's broken, and it's even clearer how to fix it. Also, when I had that there, notice that there's now a type error in generations because here I set the statuses of failed or complete, but complete's not a valid status. Save that. Now we're good. It's that easy. It's so good. And your agents are so much smarter with it too. This is my first time ever reading any of this code. This whole project got built by, or this whole project was built by Claude Code. And Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, all of these tools love Convex because they don't have to do some weird MCP jujitsu bullshit in order to change the way your database works. With Supabase, you have to connect to the database, make changes there, edit the code to mirror the way the database should be working, and just orchestrating all of that is obnoxious. Nothing is necessary here. You just write the code and then it deploys. And the sync, by the way, which is one of the coolest parts, you have to do anything for it. Here I have the list query that lists all of the things that you've generated for your user. We index by user ID so we can only select things for you as a user. And then you render the results. And then you return them. That's it. And now, whenever a change happens, it updates the client accordingly because there's no other way to access this data. You can't mutate it by sneaking behind the scenes and editing the SQL or calling that directly. The only way this data changes is by hitting a mutation that is running on the same compute layer in front of the database. So when a mutation happens, it knows what rows are hit, and it invalidates the cache that it has for all of the queries that hit that data. And when the cache gets invalidated, it sends the update. It's so good. And it also means the vast majority of your queries are just hitting the cache. More cool things here, by the way. There is no join syntax. There is no weird special way to do things. You just write TypeScript. If you want to link the results to generations, because a generation is a request a user made to generate something, a generation has different results that exist for it, because one generation might produce 4 images, and you link the two like this. You just take the output, you dot map on it, and then you additionally query for every additional thing. This seems terrifying. Doing a dot map on some other DB call that awaits, that's going to be 50 to 500 awaits. That can't be right. It's totally fine and blessed. And this is just TypeScript. We're not doing some weird syntax for joins to try and streamline how the query gets managed. We trust Convex and their query planner to handle all of this for us. And we just do a map with an await, and it works. Couldn't be easier. It's so good. It's so good. And we're still just in the basic queries here. Mutations are just as simple. You define a mutation like delete output. It has an ID. You get the user ID. You get the output. If no output, we throw an error. We get the generations. If they don't match, we throw an error. And if the generation's user ID is not the same as your user ID, we throw an error. This is actually one of the biggest problems with platforms like Supabase, is the relationship between the data and who can control it is defined almost arbitrarily within the database itself as RLS. That is not codified in your code base. There is no definitive document that shows who can access what. In Convex, you have to write queries and mutations. You cannot change the data without one of these functions, which means you have to write it, which means it's very obvious when you're not doing things right with permissions because it's source code that can be read. Couldn't be better. And again, this is all stuff your agents can control. I don't want to just go into glaze mode, and I saw Yash complaining about a thing I have feelings about too. The only exception to the you never have to go to the dashboard rule is environment variables, which are still quite annoying to manage. It'd be really nice to have something like T3env where I can define all of the environment variables I need access to in code. And if I put them in this project, like I have an env file here, it will automatically sync those up. I know the CLI can do environment variables, Jamie, but I want to go further. I want the same experience I have for everything else in Convex for that. If I have a file in the code base that is environment, that lists all the environment variables, and it sees those environment variables in my local dev environment, it will auto-sync those the same way it syncs up the code. Yeah, this comment from Zach's actually very telling. Supabase was largely built to be an alternative to Firebase that was open source and actually well maintained. And in Firebase, all of the rules were files that were JavaScript. Supabase tried to copy that behavior with RLS. It was a design decision that made sense for app devs in 2010 to 2015 because they hated building servers, web service layers, all of those things, and they just wanted to rapidly build apps. Firebase didn't even add web support until much later. Yep. We are all dealing with the tech debt of people who were too scared to deal with servers and write server code. And this is the funniest part with Convex. They've effectively tricked you into writing server code. Most of the apps I'm building, especially the ones I'm vibe coding now, they're not using Vercel's backend at all. They're using Vercel almost exclusively as a CDN. And Convex is the backend. And I'm just writing functions, and I'm calling them on client and not thinking about it, and it just works. And if you do want to access outside services, you can do that as well with actions. So queries and mutations are for when you're just hitting the database and nothing else. You're not fetching, you're not touching external stuff because they have to be deterministic in order for them to work because of how the caching and everything works. Actions can touch external stuff. So if, for example, this is the internal one. Let me find the external action. Actually, I don't know where this is. If I upload URL. Okay, here we are. Okay. So here's a fun example. Again, I'm learning this code base as we go because AI agents can write this all so well. I haven't had to even look at the code. Start thread with prompt is how you create a new generation. And in here, we have an action call where we schedule a new action to run when this mutation is done because everything's been added to the database. And then we want to run this action to do a generation. We pass all of these inputs. And you can command click, as you can everywhere in Convex, to get to this action. Here are all of its arguments. Might look like Zod, because it very much is like Zod. And we have the handler. Here we run a mutation to update the status to streaming so that we know that this result is being done. I grab my file key. I configure it. I then run the generation request. I have the inputs that I'm transforming for the specific model that we're using. I then make the request to fal. And here I'm doing some crazy stuff with the stream because I want to, long story there. Get the results, get the data, get the URL. This is all any's because this is coming from fal's SDK, which is a lot less type safe than what they have over at Convex. And then I just run another mutation with the output when I'm done. But this is how I interface externally. You have to define the mutation separately because, again, mutations and queries have to be pure. They have to just interface with the database. But once you've defined those, an action can call them willy-nilly. And you see what that looks like here. It's super convenient. And an action is an actual server function that you're running that can do real compute. You could even run it on Node if you want, which is as simple as use Node at the top of the file. Now this is using Node instead of their compute layer. Pretty cool, right? None of this is possible on something like Supabase. So hopefully this helps emphasize why agents are so good at this, because they just write TypeScript. Nothing in here is really special syntax that's specific to, or none of this is really special syntax that's specific to Convex. They're not making you define something in a special .prisma file or writing some crazy join syntax. Almost all of the syntax is just TypeScript. But I promised I would talk more about capabilities, and I really want to do that because there are some things that Convex does that just nothing else comes close that are really, really cool. Components are one of my favorite. Components aren't what they mean in the React world. Components are a set of capabilities that you can bundle up and add to your Convex deployment. All of these are things you could build yourself, but they have instead built for us. The Stripe one, I harassed poor Mickey into building for us. I'm so happy that that exists now. The AI agent one is great for just giving you the pieces you need to do agent orchestration. One of my personal favorites, though, with rate limiter is really cool. My favorite that I'm looking for in here, the work pools. Work pools are so cool. If you want to throttle an async workload, like you want to make sure some external API you're hitting is only being hit every, or if you want to make sure some external API is only being hit in concurrently up to 5 times, you can spin up a work pool that has a parallelism limit of 5. And now when you call things within this work pool, you can enqueue an action and it's now parallelized. with limits. And it will handle the queuing and everything else by itself. This is code that they wrote for us that you can install in your app and use. Normally, this is something you'd bring another service in for. And that's what's so cool with Convex components, is it feels like you're installing an external service provider without having to leave the Convex folder in your code base. And again, this is really powerful for agents too. They don't all know about all of the components or that they can go find them yet, but if you quickly browse through the available ones and find one that solves a problem, you can tell your agent about it. It will go find all of the docs and everything, especially if you give it a link, and it will implement it totally fine. We have been using work pools heavily for features in T3 chat, and it has made life so much easier. Even has things like retry management, completion handling, and all the other annoying things you have to do when you're managing workloads like this. Like if you want to see this in depth, you should check out my video about reading billions of rows, the one about the T3 wrapped stuff, because I showcase this in that. We used it heavily. It's so good. Just like one of the many examples. They have one for crons too, if you want to have like things that run on certain time frames. They have integrations with other services as well. Like if you want to serve and store files from R2 instead of using their storage, there's a component for that. If you want to use resend for sending transactional emails, there's a component for that. If you want to build a collaborative text editor where multiple people can edit text at the same time and have that all handled for you in your database, there's a component for that. It's so cool. They even have components for different auth providers like BetterAuth. That's actually funny. I was going to mention Autumn. Autumn's another platform for managing your Stripe like payment stuff. And Autumn's getting almost as many usages, and Autumn's getting almost as much use out of their component as the Stripe one is. Good work, Autumn. They're also just barely eking out Polar right now. It's so cool. Meanwhile, with our friends over at Supabase, you kind of just have to hope and pray somebody there cares enough about the problem you have to deal with it. I just was looking for an example of what the work pool equivalent is on Supabase. How do you handle long-running or execution-heavy backend tasks where edge functions aren't enough? First reply, Cloudflare Worker. Yep. Oh, and branching. We should talk about this a little bit, because one of the coolest parts with Convex that I saw them talking about in chat but haven't brought up is the way they think about dev and like preview environments. Every dev gets their own environment. Remember earlier when I said that this per developer month thing doesn't really matter that much? I still vividly remember this conversation I had with Mark when we had Yash, our first intern, join. He was very happy with Convex, but was surprised that they were going to charge us more money to add Yash to our Convex server or service. I asked him, why would we have to add Yash? He said, of course we have to add him. We have to add him to everything if he's going to be working with us. No, we don't. Remember what I said earlier about how using Convex works? You just run npx convex dev. And if you're not on our team account, who cares? It just deploys in your personal dev account. That's it. It's so easy. You just run the dev command. It spins up in your environment with your dev, or on your dev account. And all you have to do is copy over the environment variables. That's it. And if I succeed in my hazing of Convex, that'll be included too. If somebody wants to contribute to one of my projects, they don't have to be part of my Convex account. They can just clone the repo, run the dev command, get a little URL they click to auth with Convex for the first time, and they're done. That's all it takes. It is so easy to onboard onto a project using Convex. It's almost like annoying, because then when I have to use anything else and collab with other people, it is the worst. But it's so easy to spin up. And this is the thing. Everything with Convex is somewhere between 0 and 2 steps. With a platform like Supabase, your options are either they already built it for you or you're going somewhere else. They are they've provided this alternative set of primitives with things like queries, mutations, and actions, with things like the convex folder in the code base, with things like components and all the stuff you can do with them. They're providing us a better set of tools to build with. And those tools might be a smaller set than we're used to having, but it's a smaller set that works much better, scales much better, and just makes so many problems go away. And it feels really weird. I had about 4 years of being very unsure of convex. I just didn't think this type of thing would ever be for me. And now I can't imagine building without it. And that's why we're seeing so many devs moving over. People like Peter, who probably could never have cared less about something like convex before, suddenly getting hyped. Peter was able to build in 3 hours a full site with GitHub login, admin module, file storage, and NPM packages that sync skills on disk and versioning and moderation, all with convex, for syncing his Twitter auth for ClaudeBot. That's so cool. That's so cool. I was able to build the first pass on Image Studio similarly. You can do this with something like, or you can do this with Supabase, but you're going to be spending a lot more time in the dashboard configuring MCPs and trying to get everything linked. Not with convex. Anything else I'm missing, Jamie? Oh, yeah. So Jamie's in my chat, as he often is. He hangs out because, again, they're like us. I don't know how to emphasize this properly. Jamie's just a guy who hangs out in the same circles as us, watches the same things as us, just a fellow nerd. And Shamu summarized partly. The people that work there are really cool. The convex team is awesome. Are there downsides? We can talk about downsides quick. The biggest one is the same thing I think is one of the biggest benefits, which is you have to access things through the queries and mutations that you define in the code base. If you have some data analyst that wants to run something against all of the data in your database, convex isn't for that. Convex is an application database for building apps. And as long as your apps are, as long as the database is only accessed through the apps, you're going to have an incredible time, especially if they use TypeScript. I would argue that if you're not using TypeScript for your clients anywhere, that convex is probably not worth it because it's very, very, very strong within the TypeScript world. All their SDKs and everything are great. They have packages for other stuff, but they're definitely not the same quality tier as the TypeScript stuff right now. I can see that changing in the future, but I also don't care. I'm just going to write TypeScript. Like if I'm building an application experience shipping to users, that should be in TypeScript. They also just generally aren't structured for gigantic queries and mutations. There's a limit to how many rows you can hit and how much data you can hit in a given query. So if you want to do a query that is get every single row out of my giant database with hundreds of billions of rows, and then count like which ones have the longest message length or something, you're going to have a rough time. It's not built for those types of things. Those like select everything queries. A lot of that's because they architected it to not lead you down those paths. A lot of the way convex is designed is around leading you and the developers contributing towards things that are actually performant. They make it hard to write code that isn't performant, and you'll feel really gross and bad as you do it because you're not supposed to do things that way. Most of these things, especially on like the analytics side, they have solutions for a lot of that. Like they have a component for aggregates and a sharded counter for having things that like count and go up and down and tracking that. Like we should have implemented this for the T3 chat history thing. We didn't, but we probably should have. Especially the aggregate stuff seems really cool. That said, you can just fire hose it out somewhere else. Yeah. They have a whole streaming data in and out of convex section that explains in detail how to set up the exports to automatically stream data out to stuff like Databricks or Snowflake, so that if you want to do analytics on that data, you can. They say it right. Convex isn't optimized for queries that load huge amounts of data. They're transparent about it, and they give you solutions. And this is the difference. Convex knows what they're bad at and are very quick to explain to you how to handle the things they're bad at if you want to do them. This has actually been a problem I've had with almost every other database provider. They try to convince me that my problem is wrong or that I'm stupid for thinking I need to solve things this way. Convex is very quick to put up their hands and say, nope, we don't do that. Here's what we recommend. It's a huge difference. That said, if the majority of what you need your database for is analytics, if you have people that want to do very flexible queries on the servers directly, this is not the database for you. If you want to have a good experience building applications that are user-facing, that's what Convex is for. It is the best database platform ever made for application development. So if you're building apps in TypeScript, they're for you. If you're not using TypeScript anywhere, or you're not building apps, you're just building data analytics type stuff, go use something else. This is not the solution for you. Trying to think of other downsides. You'll never want to use anything else. That's a very real one. It's like a very real one, actually. Gonna do one more demo for fun, just to emphasize how good this stuff is. I'm gonna rebuild the image generation studio. I want to build an image gen studio. Use your front-end design skill to make it beautiful. Use Vite, React, Bun, and for the image generation, do it through FAL. I want to generate images using Nano Banana Pro. Use Convex as the database. Don't worry about auth. All backend functions should be done through Convex. Research and use whatever docs you think are necessary to build this. I'm going to let Claude Code just build this for us. We'll do a plan, then we'll build. And thank you to my friends at Whisperflow for making it so easy to just speak that to my computer. The fact that it knows the proper capitalizations and everything for all the stuff I mentioned there is so nice. Okay, I figured out that FAL, F-O-W-L, was meant to be FAL, F-A-L. Cool. Only typo it had. I have given it no prior context. I have not included anything in any markdown files anywhere. I don't have some MCP or LLM's text or anything hidden. I'm on a very boring stock Claude Code install here. Giving it clarification on the foul typo. Yeah, the front end skill is something I added, but it's just one. It's a markdown file that tells it to not suck at front end. It's not my front end skill, it's theirs. It is literally just this markdown file that is telling it to not do slop. Never use generic AI-generated aesthetics like overused font families, cliched color schemes like purple gradients on white backgrounds. Yeah, cool. That asks questions. Gallery of past images, dark mode, store in convex, submit. Cool. Remember, Claude Code is capable of extraordinary creative work. Don't hold back. Show what can truly be created when thinking outside the box and committing fully to a distinctive vision. Oh, Claude. I should have kicked this off at the start of the video, so I had it running in the background. That was dumb of me. If you thought watching coding streams was boring before, you have no idea how much worse it is now in an AI world. It's really taking its time. Wibbling. Throttling Claude. No, it is slow. The long plans can be slow. Let me do something quick. Sorry about that. I need to give open code a more thorough try. But the plan mode is still much better in Claude Code, and I really like having plans. Opus is a lot smarter with a plan, I found. Took about 6 minutes to write a plan. Oh, code expired is my password. 1 sec. Probably better do that. Cool. So I wrote a plan, give it a quick once over. I'll review tech stack. All looks fine. Cool. Yes, and bypass. Time to let it do its thing. Coming soon, Dex to pass. You got a little distracted, I can only imagine. Thank you, Teeman, for the 6 months of tier 3. Fucking legend. Thank you, Nabari, as well, if I missed you before. Terminal font. I don't even remember what my font and stuff is configured as in Ghosty. 4 a.m. Oh, shit. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it a ton. I've been trying to do no Tmux for a bit now. I have a lot of thoughts. I am considering rethinking how I use my OS entirely at this point. I might go Linux for a bit because I'm going to do a long-ass schizo rant about that in the near future. I don't think the way operating systems work well for what I want anymore with agents. This is a great site. GraphQL. Used to work at Facebook, you can use convex ENTs. This is great. Oh. Oh boy. This is going to be a fun watch. Oh shit, AJ's in chat too. Thank you for the resub, AJ. Good to see you, man. Waiting for this to build. I really hope it finishes soon so I can say that in under 20 minutes it built this whole thing. Oh shit. Can't wait to see Adam. Yo, Chris with the resub. Thank you for that. What am I doing? I'm just waiting for this build for the end of this video. I did the Linux move mid last year and it made me want to die. There's just so many things I use all the time that I can't on Linux, and display scaling was a really big problem for me trying to do my stream setup. If I did it, I would be building something kind of insane just for agent stuff. Oh yeah, the display, the displays on any of those computers is awful too. Oh, you're on the proxy area. You're fucked. You're fucked. Yeah. I tried Omar Key last time. I would probably use one of the Arch flavors is to like get it going with all the drivers and everything, and then go crazy with window management. Oh shit, this is done. Let's see if it worked. Cool. So I just had Claude Code from scratch build the Image Studio app again with Convex. Let's create a new project, personal account. Again, like I've already authed to Convex. If I didn't, I would have had to click one link, sign in with GitHub. But since I have, it just links, choose a team, give it a name, some name. I actually like the default, so we'll go with the default Convex Claude Code demo. You can choose if you want to use the cloud or a local deployment if you want to just run it on your machine. I've never actually bothered because I like the cloud stuff so much. It's really convenient. So we'll do cloud. Now I've linked to it in the dashboard, which I do actually need to do because I have to go grab the file key. Oh, I have to sign in. What an inconvenience. Now we're in on this dash. Settings, env, add file underscore key. Now give me a sec to go grab that. Cool, file key has been added. It has 1 or 2 type errors because there still is no LSP support by default in Claude Code. It's super broken. It would have found those otherwise. It just thinks these things are strings, but they're more specific in the database definition. Whatever. It still is going to deploy, I think. Let me new tab it. npx tsc to see. Nope. It is not seeing the same type error as Convex is. Yeah. I will tell it that. If you npx tsc in the convex dir, you will see some type errors. Fix them. Okay, cool. All of those are fixed, and it auto-deployed when they were fixed. Let's see if it worked. Image Studio. 2 corgis riding a bike. 2K, generate. It auto-appeared in the UI here. It is running on the server. And if all went well, then in just a moment, we will see 2 corgis riding a bike. Without me writing a single line of code, all in about 20 minutes just running Claude Code. Oh no, an argument validation error. We can copy that, paste it to Claude. Also of note, one of my favorite things about Convex, since this is all happening on the cloud, you have the Convex logs where you can see all of these things going wrong here as well. It shows it to you in the terminal as well because it's happening with that code that you put there. Now returns, or file API returns null for width height, added a nullish coalescence to handle that. Cool. 2 corgis riding a bike. I'll knock down the res so it's faster. And there we go. 1 shot, 2 errors, copy pasted into Claude Code, 0 code looked at or written, full stack, image gen, synced across web and server, all handled in the database directly. And ready just for one last piece of magic. We have these 2 creations here. One has failed, one didn't. Let's open these up side by side. Here's the failed one. Oops. Ready for some magic? Select, delete, and it vanishes from the UI. Are you kidding? Magic. It is unbelievable what the Convex team has cooked here. If you haven't tried it yet, you have no idea how much you're missing out. Convex has made my life building applications not just easier, but absurdly more fun. And I highly recommend you check it out yourself. Sorry, Supabase. I just want to set my audience up for the best possible tools in modern times, and it really feels like Convex is that tool. They're not paying me to shill at this point. I did invest because I like them that much, but I hope you understand how genuine my love of Convex is and how long it took for me to get here. I hope that these videos help you skip some steps and fall in love with it yourself. Thank you to everybody for watching, and thank you to Convex for taking the time to convince me. I hope I'm doing a good job paying that forward. Thank you all for paying attention. Thank you all for watching. Go build something fun, and until next time, peace, nerds. Yay. Sorry, YouTube chat. We'll let it unfuck the front end quick. Cool. The very real trying to community note this. I saw this post and I saw people pushing back on it too. I have it all bookmarked to read into later. Using convex env, is that a thing? Oh yeah, somebody made this based on T3 env, yeah. Does it also do the syncing up part? Because I've been wanting to look into this. Yeah, definitely getting a star. Did I even check my font in Ghosty? Geist. Just using Geist Mono. This one I think I can gun out now. I was trying to think of like, what do I have confidence I could do while sick? That's fair. I should probably stop doing that. Hand's doing a lot better. Still can't lift things, and certain angles spinning it are really bad, but for the most part, it's a lot better. Thank you, the Omarin, for the Prime. Krish, always good to see you. 32 months is wild, you're right. And 5 and 5 with the Prime as well. The experience with 5.2 X High and Opus 4.5 are very different. I use them very differently. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. So much better. Oh, so good. Oh shit, Chris. Hope you enjoy it, man. I need to play with the app more. I've been meaning to. I was so close to investing in CorgiCo. Didn't, but clearly regret that now. They did very well. I didn't understand the space they were in well enough to confidently invest. And now they're worth a lot of money. I fucked up. I do think there's a very high chance of them open sourcing Claude Code, and I'm going to keep bullying them until they do it. So the UI adapts to different aspect ratios? Sure. Why open source when you're in the lead? To guarantee you hold your lead. Duh. Okay, it looks like it didn't change the UI to handle the different aspect ratio, but the different aspect ratio was honored in the picture. Cool. If I'm doing another video, I'm going to do this one. The you're falling behind video. I think we'll do this quick. Oh, thanks, Mitch, for stopping by. Always good to see you, man. Let's do the you're falling behind vid. This one's overdue. Hopefully I'm not too late for this topic. Phase for the intro, I'm just going to read this. Just show the tweet and slowly reveal it as I read it. I've never felt this much behind as a programmer. The profession is being dramatically refactored as the bits contributed by the programmers are increasingly sparse and between. I have a sense that I could be 10 times more productive. I have a sense that I could be 10 times more powerful if I just properly string together what has become available over the last year, and a failure to claim the boost feels decidedly like skill issues. There's a new programmable layer of abstraction to master, in addition to the usual layers below, involving agents, subagents, their prompts, contexts, memories, modes, permissions, tools, plugins, skills, hooks, MCP, LSP, /commands, workflows, etc. Okay, I'll cut in here. This is a post from Carpathy that I've been thinking a lot about since seeing it, because in some ways I feel very similar, and in other ways I don't, and I have a lot that I want to say about it. The ending in particular is fascinating to me. Clearly, some powerful alien tool was handed around, except it comes with no manual, and everyone has to figure out how to hold it and operate it, while the resulting magnitude 9 earthquake is rocking the profession. Roll up your sleeves to not fall behind. Yeah. There's a lot going on here, and I felt it now more than ever. I still remember when I did the GPT-5 video, I felt the first rumblings of this, where it no longer felt like, oh, these things can help with autocomplete and stubbing out API files for me. Now it feels like AI can build real applications and help maintain and do a lot of this type of work that we have been doing ourselves for decades upon decades. Things are... I still can't believe the rate at which this change is happening, but it is very, very real. All of the smartest devs I know are building crazy things with AI now, either using the AI as part of the product or for the majority of the dev work. And it's easy to feel like you're falling behind. I'd go as far as to say most of us feel this way right now. But there are ways that we can get ahead. There are things that we can all do as developers to be more powerful as a result, rather than less. And I think it's finally at the point where it is our responsibility as developers, especially if we want to stay employed, that we need to be on top of these things. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to explain what I've done to stay on top of the latest stuff going on in the AI dev world. And I hope it's useful to you. Much like I hope that today's sponsor is useful to you. Do you know what else I hope is useful for you? Today's sponsor. Cool. And here we have my best attempt at a guide to not falling behind. Historically, I have always said the same thing about most tools. It's better to be late than early. I still believe this. I want to be very clear. I still very much believe this. I've seen so many people go all in on things that turned out to be useless. Like building Java applets for the Kyocera Echo before the iPhone came out. Or MCP. There's lots of things like this that happen every couple years where something seems like the obvious, oh my God, that's the future. And then it doesn't happen. You need to wait until the thing is actually providing value to people every day before it's worth betting on. The harsh reality is that we are there now with AI. I am writing the majority of my code with AI now. I would say more than the majority, like 90%. And for the teams that I run, we're at least 70% AI-generated code, sometimes even more. The companies that I'm advising, that I work with, that I invest in, that I talk to every day, are at similar numbers. The AI isn't great at making decisions. It's good at talking through them still. That could change in the future, so you should keep an eye on it accordingly. But the thing I really want to drive home here is that it is useful. This is no longer, will AI pan out? Will it become something we use? Coding has changed forever. We are past that point now. Getting into it now isn't getting into it early anymore. Getting into it now is getting into it late. So if you were waiting to see if this stuff would be useful, we are now past that point. It is useful. It's time. And if you think that the stuff you're working on is too complex for AI, Tell it to the people building compilers with it. Tell it to the people who are building languages and systems and crazy applications with it. Tell that to the CEO of Railway who's rebuilding their entire system. Tell it to the CEO of Railway who's rebuilding their deployment system with it. Tell it to Carpathy, who's one of the smartest developers that ever lived, that feels like he's falling behind. It's here. No more denying it. And this is going to affect the job market in meaningful ways. We don't know in what directions or in what amounts, but we know it will affect things. So, we've established that you're officially late. You can cope all you want, and I'm sure my comment section is going to be full of it. I don't care. We're here. So how do you catch up? There's a lot of ways to do this. Personally, my favorite way is to just go try what the hottest tool is and push it to its limits. Step one is to try and find those limits. Go check out Claude Code or Cursor or Open Code or any of these tools. Use the latest and greatest model, which at the point of filming this video is Opus 4.5 or GPT 5.2 X high if you have the patience. Give them a shot. Push them to their limits. Take some random feature that you've been waiting for a while to implement in one of your products or projects and ask the agent to do it. Open up Cursor, select Opus, and say, hey, I want this. Plan it. And then see if it writes a good plan. And read the output. I'm not here to tell you that code doesn't matter anymore. I'm here to tell you how to use these tools to write code more efficiently. And part of that is reading the output. I know you might call me a contrarian if you watched my previous videos about how I've been using Claude Code recently, but that's a step we'll get to in a bit. This is how we get in. Try to find the limits and read the output as you look for those limits. I also recommend using plan mode in the tools that offer it. OpenCode's plan mode isn't great yet. Chances are by the time you're watching this video, it's probably been fixed. They're moving very fast. Cursor and Claude Code both have great plan modes. Plan mode is great because it's plain English back and forth. It feels like sitting in a room with a coworker and a whiteboard, planning out how you're going to do this thing. And you can also watch the agent as it goes through the code base to learn about it and figure things out. And you learn how it does that. Because that's the ultimate goal here. Should put that at the top, actually. Goals. Build an intuition for what these tools can and can't do. The other goal is to increase your code. The other goal is to increase the amount of code you can output without decreasing your confidence in it. If we have more goals as we go through, I will add them here, but these are the two key ones. Building an intuition for what these tools can and can't do, and increasing the amount of code that you can output without decreasing your confidence in the quality. So step one, you have to try and find these limits. And as you're finding the limits, you should also be watching how they do things. I had a list of increasingly complex tasks that I wanted to eventually do in the T3 chat code base that I would use as my testing ground. I would keep ramping up how hard they would be. One fun example I would give when I would demo the new models and how good they were at UI is I would ask them to build a mock image generation studio to showcase their way of thinking about building UI that way. I no longer ask them to build mocks. I just filmed a video about why I like convex so much, and I had Claude Code use convex and FAL to build a real image gen studio. That at one shot. This is a fully working image generation studio with backend and sync and file storage that will generate whatever you want. Here, I'll generate an image of a vibe coding corgi using 3 laptops at once. And in just a moment, once we get a response from Nano Banana Pro, we now have a vibe coding corgi using a whole bunch of laptops with a save button that works, a UI that's good. All these things that were really annoying before, it can just do. It's kind of wild. And you need to have these systems in your head, like knowing your own code bases, knowing what types of work you do, and just keeping a mental tab of it. If you have some task that took you a week to do that is relatively well documented, make a clone of your repo from before you did it, put it in a folder somewhere, write down the description of the task, put it in a markdown file in that folder, and then run Claude Code on it. See if it can take that as an input and build the thing. If it gets close but not quite, rewrite the prompt a little bit. See if you can guide it there. And if it still can't, save that, put it in a zip, and lock it away somewhere. And the moment the tools get better, pull it back out from cold storage and try again. Building your own building your own pseudo benchmarks of what capabilities do these tools have so that you know what they're capable of and how far they can go, and also what they get caught up on, is super, super valuable. So that's the first step. Take the actual day-to-day work you're doing, box it up, or take the actual day-to-day work you're doing, break it up, box it up, and throw agents at it to see if it can make work that meets your quality bar. This is really good for work you've already done because you know how you would do it, and you can compare and contrast how you did it and how the AI would have done it. Now I have a slightly harder step 2. Thinking outside of the box. This one took me a bit to get over, and I'm also predisposed to do this already for various reasons, primarily content, but also just the way I work. I can't tell you how often I have a problem that code could solve, but it doesn't make sense to write code to solve it. I have a bunch of old assets that I backed up from my Android phone when I was in college, like just videos and photos that I took when I was in school. They are very poorly organized in just a random set of folders on my computer, and I wanted to have those saved and upscaled using a tool like Topaz. I could have manually tried to do all of that, and I did, and I got about 6 months of I got through about 6 months of my 8 years of archival before realizing I can't do this. And I stopped. When I realized how good Claude Code had gotten, I wanted to test its limits on Windows, where I have a lot of this stuff stored. So I spun up Claude Code on Windows and told it to do it. It then wrote a bunch of very long scripts, including a single 3,000 line of code JS file that it used to reorganize and re-encode all of the files I had stored on the system. And it did a phenomenal job. That's the type of thing I could have written myself, but I never would have because it would have taken too much time for the immediate benefit it gives me. And I've realized there are tons of these. For every project I'm working on right now, I have 3 or 4 sub-projects that are just me doing random shit I want for that project. Part of why I do all the image studio stuff is because I want to overhaul how image gen works in T3 chat. So I keep spinning up sandboxes to play around with different ideas I have outside of the T3 chat codebase so I can find the UX I like. Sometimes I want to do different things, like for the game I'm working on. I should pull that up somewhere. Maybe I have it open already. Not. Cool. And some other things I'm working on, like my fish slop game, that is just a very unique Insane Aquarium clone. It's not that unique. There's a lot of little things I have to do with this game to make it work, like asset management in particular. I vibe coded 3 separate tools to work on the assets for this game, just to make it easier to track them, organize them, generate them, screw with them, test different treatments on them, stuff like that. Building a full suite of asset management tools for a random game you'll probably never release would be mental illness. Now it's a great experiment. Now it's a way for me to try out new tools, learn, build things that would never have made sense before. Building a 10,000 line of code project to manage assets for a 15,000 line of code project is the type of thing that made no sense before. But this is why you have to rewire your brain a bit. You have to think out of the box. You have to think about things that could be solved with code that would have made no sense to solve with code before because it's too much code, which is too much effort. The amount of effort it takes to write code has gone down a ton. And once you understand the limits and capabilities of these systems, you start to see the world a little bit different. I'm going to do a really weird comparison. When you look at this image, what do you see? 99.5% of you are going to say a stair set. Some of you are going to say the El Toro 20. This stair set is very important in skateboarding. It has a legacy that's hard to put into words. There's a reason for this. It's because it is gigantic and jumping down it is kind of insane to do. And many skaters have done that. Many have gotten very hurt trying to do that. Skateboarders see the world a little bit different. Once you've rode a skateboard for a certain amount of time, you no longer look at the street the same way because you're thinking about how it feels to ride your board on the pavement. You no longer look at stairs the same way. You're counting them to see how many there are and how hard it would be to jump down it. You don't look at ledges or rails or benches or picnic tables even the same way. It's rare that I walk into a new room or walk down a new street and don't think about how I could skateboard on it. Once you learn the skateboard, you see the world a little bit different. Everything is now kind of an obstacle. And when you learn to code, the same thing happens. When you go to a website or open an app or see the weird errors on the screen at the airport, you're not seeing the same thing everyone else does. You're thinking it through a little further because you know more about how it works. The way you perceive these things is different. When you get an error in an app, you're thinking about what led to that. When someone else gets an error in an app, they get annoyed. You have to do that again now. I'm sorry, because one of the hardest things you can do to your brain is rewire it so the world looks a little different. But you have to now. And to other creators, other developers, other people who are watching this piece of video, it sucks and it's hard. And it took me a while. It took me like over a year and a half of using these things every day to have this click. You can just build shit. If you have a random idea, it doesn't take 3 days to build it anymore. It takes a couple minutes. When I wanted to compare how different AI models write prose, I had this novel idea. What if I could have a model write an essay, another model give feedback on it, and then the original one could rewrite the essay? I wanted to automate this because I was just curious. It took me about 10 minutes of vibe coding in Cursor to build up a workspace that could do that. Now I can answer these questions. I can figure these things out. I can do shit that just never would have been worth doing before. And that's what's so crazy. There's this whole world of things that we encounter every day as developers that we didn't bother dealing with before because it was easier to just do it by hand than it was to automate the thing. There are so many of these little things that were just obnoxious that are now trivial. If I want to play with a new API, I throw the docs at Claude and say, what can I do? If I want to build a new Chrome extension, I open up, or if I want to build a new Chrome extension, I open up Cursor and say, hey, make this with me. It's so freeing to realize any problem that can be solved with software just got 100 times more solvable. And that isn't just yet another new vibe-coded app or project. That could be something as annoying as I have this set of commands I enter over and over. It'd be nice if it was one command. Here, I'll give an example. make me an alias. You know, I'll even voice the text just to make the point. Make me an alias that selects all files and commits them with a commit message and pushes up immediately. Now this is going to make me a git alias in my Zish file. Or now it's going to make me a git alias in my ZishRC, almost certainly. Didn't do it, but apparently I can just configure this with a git global directly. Git ACP. Let's tell it to do something a bit different. I would like it to be just one word. Can you maybe put this in my ZishRC instead? And there we go. Now I have this new command added. This type of thing that just wasn't necessarily worth the time for most people is now trivial. You can see I even did this earlier where I wanted to always YTDL things as an MP4. So here it will just auto post process. I can use this custom command for YouTube DLP and it will come out as an MP4. I have so many of these appearing in my ZishRC because whenever I have a thing I do a lot, there we go. Apparently, YouTube gets salty about mentions of YTDL. I don't care. I will risk it, and I will bitch a lot if something happens. Once you start thinking this way, you're most of the way here. But the next step is where things get really fun. Okay, to be fair, step 2 is actually really fun, but the next piece is the orchestration. And I'll be very honest here. I'm still learning this part. This is the part that things really start to accelerate. And I'm at the point where I kind of want to rethink my whole operating system around what capabilities exist here. Figuring out how to spin up different agents, how to link pieces together, how to write glue code that you're not even really writing yourself that lets you attach these cool tools and pieces and figuring out all the parts. Things like when I was working on my game, I found a tool for generating pixel art that was okay, not great, but okay, and orchestrating between that and the game and all the different features that I want to work on and getting this all pulled together was challenging. One of the pieces I came up with, and it's really silly. The game is the fish game. So in order to keep track of all of the different fish in the game, I made the Fish Bible. The Fish Bible is a markdown file that describes all of the different fish and pets in the game. And whenever a change happens in the game, this file should be updated. Whenever a change happens in this file, the game should be updated. I enforce that via the Claude MD, where I specify the Fish Bible file is the authoritative reference for all creatures, fish, pets, aliens in the game. It contains all of these details, and it needs to be kept in sync. This is in my Claude MD. Whenever I'm using Claude Code, it will do its best to honor this. This also means I'm not looking at the code as much, but that's the point of this project. Having a range of how much you do and don't care about code in a project is essential, and part of this thinking outside of the box piece is that there are a lot of things you might want to do in your project that aren't worth the time to write or even read the code. But if these are just things like setup scripts or automations for things that you were doing by hand before, if that code isn't if that code isn't actually running on production servers, you're just using it to benefit yourself and your life, your bar for the quality will be different, and it should be. Figuring out where in your life you can insert a bunch of slop code will give you a great opportunity to play with these things more. And I promise you, everybody watching this video has places in their life where a little bit of slop could actually be useful. I've been amazed at how many places we're finding for this in my own work. Even just like building a tool to keep track of all of my thumbnails and which types of thumbnails tend to get the most views. Visualizing that type of thing was annoying. Now I can build it in a day or less. But again, the orchestration is the hard part. How do you keep track of and organize and combine these things to build awesome shit? There's a lot of tools being built to do this and a lot of independent people building their own things around this. ClaudeBot is a great example of this. Peter's been doing all sorts of crazy shit, and ClaudeBot is one of his attempts to pull it all together to make all of his tools accessible to an AI agent that he can talk to via Telegram or WhatsApp that's controlling a computer. It's so cool. Somebody said in chat that I'm finding places for slop because I'm forcing it. You have to force it initially, and then it clicks. That's the key. You realize how much random shit is tedious in your life that you could automate that was just not worth automating before, and now suddenly absolutely is. There are so many things like that. I am still amazed at just how many there are and how many more I'm finding. I'm keeping a list of all of the ideas I have. Like one that I really want to start working on is a Kanban board for managing tasks that I want to generate code for between the planning stage, the implementation stage, and the review stage. And there are so many opportunities like this, and at real companies too. A big part of what inspired this video is this post from Raul, who is the head of applied AI at Ramp. Ramp's a real company doing real challenging work, and they're doing some super cool stuff with AI, especially with the orchestration of tools like Open Code. This is him quote tweeting the original Carpathy post that started the video. He makes some bold statements at the top here. You're guaranteed to lose if you fall behind. The no unforced error AI leader playbook is the following. So these are great ideas on how to start getting ahead. For your team, use coding agents. Give all engineers their pick of harnesses, models, and background agents. Claude Code, Cursor, Devin with closed and open models. Meta engineers used to be forced to use Llama 4, which is hilarious. They no longer are. They can use whatever they want now. Opus 4.5 is the baseline now. That's probably going to change very soon. This video hopefully won't get too dated beyond that. We will see. I will be sure to make new videos if that does happen. By the way, if you watch this much, you should hit the sub button if you want to keep up. It's a pretty good way to help and helps the channel out a ton too. Next piece. Give your agents tools to all dev tooling. Things like Linear, GitHub, Datadog, Sentry, any internal tooling. If agents are being held back because of the lack of context, that's your fault. Very bold. Still coming around to this one myself, but I've seen so many compelling examples that it's hard to ignore. Here's an example of an engineer at Ramp who was demoing one of the cool bots they built, their internal inspect bot. They added it. What are the 20 most common Sentry issues in core? Spin up child sessions fixing them. So it found the 20 most common errors and then spun up a PR for every single one of them. That's insane. And this isn't some tool they're selling. This isn't some crazy product they want to put out and say, hey, everyone, go install inspect. This is just their own internal explorations and usage. Because doing this is now way more justifiable than ever because it's not that expensive time-wise. Another big piece. Invest in code-base specific agent docs. Stop saying that it doesn't do X well. If that's an issue, try better prompting, an agentsmd file, linting, and code rules. These are actually really big pieces. Agents get a lot smarter when they get feedback on what's wrong. Set up your LSP and use it, please, for the love of God, use a typed language if you're not yet, because then when the code has errors that are checkable via types, you can feed those errors back to the agent and it can fix them. Open Code does this by default. Claude Code added it. It's not fully supported just yet. Cursor has this working really well by default. When you have good linting and code rules and type safety, all of a sudden, these agents can fix a lot of the errors that they would have on that first pass, and they will come to you with a result that is more likely to be working initially. And then the agentmd in particular is a really important piece too. I know the Claude Code team apparently changes their ClaudeMD file for the internal repo multiple times a day. If someone on the team notices that Claude went down the wrong path for something, they don't hope it won't the next time. They go to the Claude MD file and add instructions saying, hey, don't do that. I already covered that. Cool. Yeah. Good way of thinking of this is that every manual edit that you make from generated code is an opportunity for Agent MD improvements. Next piece. Invest in robust background agent infra. Get a full development stack working on VMs and sandboxes. It's hard to set up, but it'll be worth it. Your engineers can now run multiple in parallel. Code review will be the bottleneck soon. That's another thing I would actually add. Maybe as like a step 0, if you're really struggling to like get into this, at the absolute least, please add some AI code review tools to your repos. There's a bunch of them. There's controversy around some of them. I personally mostly use greptile and CodeRabbit. I use greptile on all my personal work and side projects. The team still slightly prefers CodeRabbit for T3 chat, but they're both really good. There's lots of other options that are pretty good as well. These things are very helpful to get into. And it's a great way to see the value of AI really quickly. What's this? Well, yeah, code review will be the bottleneck, but please use AI code review too, not as the only code review, just to augment it. It's so nice to have an AI catch a mistake before a human has to bother reviewing it. Yeah. Also, important call out, figure out the security issues. Stop being risk averse and do what is needed to unblock the access. Absolutely agree here. And even with earlier career engineers, I would say the same thing. Like, I would have so much worry, like, oh, if we give these people access to the deployments, they can break all of prod. Good. Fix it. Get over it. Make it easier to roll back the mistakes and get ahead of those things. And now, when you're actually building product with AI, important pieces. Always use the latest generation models in your features. Move things off last gen model ASAP, or move things off of last gen models ASAP unless robust evals indicate otherwise. It's very rare, unless you're like on Gemini or something, that the generation change is actually a downgrade. You'll have to make changes every couple of weeks. Like the GitHub Copilot mobile app is still offering code review with GPT 4.1 and Sonnet 3.5. That's hilarious. You're leaving money on the table by being on Sonnet 4 or GPT 4.0. Absolutely. Stay on top of these things. Use embedding semantic search instead of fuzzy search. Any general embedding model will do better than traditional fuzzy search heuristics. Yes. Like, search is one of those big pieces. A lot of these harnesses now, things like Cursor and Claude Code, aren't using traditional search anymore. They tell the model they are, so the model doesn't have to learn anything new. And then they quietly, behind the scenes, use better search semantics to get better results. Leave no form unfilled. Use structured outputs in whatever context you have on the user to do a better, best effort prefill. That's a cool idea. I should consider that more for things. Allow unstructured inputs on all product surfaces. You must accept freeform text and documents. Forms are dead. Also very interesting. Another one that I totally agree on is that custom fine-tuning is dead. Stop wasting time on it. The frontier is moving too fast to invest 8 weeks into a fine-tune. Costs are dropping too quickly for price to matter. Better prompting will take you very far, and this is only becoming more true as instructions following improvement. Or this is only getting more true as instruction following improves. Really want to emphasize this point. To go back to my list here, when you find the limits, let's say, when you find a limit, when you write a prompt for the model and it can't do the thing, try to get past it. Strategies for this are improving your prompt, giving more context, in particular in the prompt, adjusting Claude MD agents MD, just to give better instructions on the code base and how you want things to work. Adding tools to give better feedback to model. This is things like LSP support, linting, etc. See if you can make the model go past the limit when you find it. I have been incredibly surprised by how much you can do by just giving some slightly better tools and adjusting your Claude MD file. The exact same prompt on the exact same code base can have better results. There are some people who swear by the strategy of never reverting and just prompting until it works. I know Pete, for example, the guy who made ClaudeBot, swears by this strategy. Yeah, as he says here, he basically never reverts or uses checkpointing. If something isn't how he likes it, he asks the model to change it. I am not there yet, personally. I still like to revert, mostly so I can learn the structure to get these things right first try. But this varies from person to person. Work on it. Play with it. Experiment. You really should try pushing the limits of not just these tools, but yourself. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable. If you're not seeing the value, you're not there yet. Keep pushing until you do. So many incredibly talented devs are doing absurd shit with these tools. You can get there, but play with it more. Speaking of really smart people, Naman is in chat. Naman is the creator of Stylex, which is one of the coolest styling libraries I've ever seen that was used to handle styling at Meta at scale. Stylex.js, yeah, there we go. Library is super cool. Naman is super smart. Naman just said in chat that the revert thing is kind of model specific. Codex is much better at unfucking a bad change it makes, and Opus is less good at that and benefits from the reverts. This is knowledge you get from experimenting with these things and playing with them more. You gotta just do it. Get in the weeds, get your hands dirty, get uncomfortable. If you're not at least a little bit uncomfortable, you're not trying hard enough. It's a harsh reality, but it's one that we're in now. You need to push past these limits in your head and in your work. More fun stuff from Raul in this post because there's more stuff here I want to talk about. Building evals is essential. You should build lots of evals to make quick model upgrade decisions. They don't need to be perfect, but at least need to allow you to compare models relative to each other. Most decisions become clear on a Pareto cost versus benchmark perf plot. Yep. It is so easy to vibe code a benchmark. It's one of the best things to start with. If you notice something that AI is or isn't doing well for you in your work, break that off into a bench. Make a quick, weird, one-off benchmark. It's so fun customizing and building your own evals. I've had a ton of fun with it. I was going to put out tools to make it easier for others to do, but I don't feel like I need to anymore. Just vibe code it. Tell it to use the ASDK and OpenRouter and go ham. The last piece here, and this is essential for leaders at companies. I'm trying to do the same myself. Encourage all engineers to build with AI. Build primitives to call models from all code bases and build primitives to call models from all code bases. Structured output, semantic similarity endpoints, sandbox code execution, etc. So much good shit. One last piece. This is what I'm really internalizing. Stop worrying so much about inference spend. Your inference profit and loss needs to be significantly higher. Costs are dropping too quickly for this to matter. It's not X mil a year. It's X divided by 52 per week for the next Y weeks. Yep. If your inference bill is $3,000 a week this week, it is as likely to go down as up week over week as new things ship and change and behave differently. Things are changing really, really, really fast. And you should be going out of your way to try all these new things. Now, I know a lot of this was focused on leaders, and not everybody watching, in fact, the majority of people watching, probably aren't managers. You're probably ICs, aspiring devs, or people just working independently on code. You might not be able to do all of these things if you don't have that type of buy-in at your workplace. Find every opportunity you can to do it independently. Try sneaking it into your workplace if you can. And if that doesn't go well, find a better job. I know that Ramp is hiring, for example. Raul actually asked me to shout that out. So shout out Raul for writing this. You guys should check him out and talk to him if you're interested. The link will be in the description for this post. Find a place where you can do this. You can make the place yourself independently on side projects. You can find a way to sneak it into your workplace if they allow for that type of thing. Generally, like now more than ever, ask forgiveness, not permission feels almost essential. Like, if your workplace doesn't let you use these tools, use them anyways. Either you will now be way ahead of your coworkers and be seen as an evangelist at the company, or you'll get fired for it and you have an incredible story to tell in your job interviews for other places. I promise you, if you went to somebody like Raul and said, hey man, I just tried all the things in your post about how to like bring AI to the workplace. I got fired because nobody wanted to see the light. Can we talk about what working at Ramp would look like? I guarantee you that'll be a good conversation. Push the limits in every sense. That is really the theme I want to drive home here. Find the limits of how much you can use the tools, of what the tools are capable of, and what the people around you in your workplace is willing to allow. Push as hard against those limits as you can and see where it brings you. You'll be amazed, first off, at how far away those limits are, how capable these systems are, how well you can work around those limits, and how much shit you can get done as a result of all of this. And if you are a manager at one of these companies, or you are an employee sending this to a manager, and if your manager is not convinced, send them this section. Hey, you, manager at tech company X. It's so important to let your engineers use these things. The best engineers have already made the move to using AI tools to help with the majority of their work for the majority of the time. And if you're not letting your employees do this, you are intentionally letting them fall behind, and they are going to leave and your company's going to fail. Standing against AI in the development world is not standing against AI in the development world isn't some crazy noble stance or some way to protect your users. It's a way to piss off the best devs at your company and keep them from winning. If you want to win, you need to let your team use the best tools. And right now, most of those tools include AI. Get over your shit, let your employees use the things they want to, and you'll be amazed at how much more productive they become. I think I've said all I have to here. This was a very fun deep dive on how to stay ahead. I know what the top comments are all going to be. Hey, Theo, I'm a student. How do I keep up? I have no idea. I am thankful I'm not a student at this point in time. If I figure out an answer, I will be sure to do a video about that in the future. But for now, keep building, keep shipping, keep doing things, and keep pushing limits. And you'll probably end up somewhere great. That's all I got for this one. Good luck keeping up. And until next time, peace, nerds. You're taking an AI class at a US college? Oh boy. And it requires a book published in 2018. Hilarious. Yeah, I did the same, 3 in the same shirt. It'll be annoying, but whatever. Normally I'm better about that. I did not see this YG dev. Can you find that for me? Thank you, Chris Chase, for the Prime, Warfy27 for the Prime, and Resserty. Hopefully I got that right. For the Prime as well. Sorry again, YouTube chat. Yeah, this is fine, but I will never support anything Josh does going forward. I do not like that man. Do I have any recommendations for automating Claude Code multi-agents yet? Josh is the creator of Arc Browser. Well, runs the company that created Arc Browser. I really want to do Effect Institute. I had it open in a tab. I didn't have time to. I've already done so many. I'm never talking about Arc in a video again. There are like 7 of them. Yeah, YG, did you find that post? I saved this. Anil hit me up about that. I might do a video on it later. No, thank you, YG. Oh, this fucker. Yeah, I hate this guy with the passion of 1,000 suns. He's such a fucking tool. He has me blocked because I embarrassed him. He claimed that he could, in 3 months or less, build a TypeScript type checker in C++. I told him he can't. He got really mad at me. I made fun of him for it. And then he blocked me and then didn't ship shit. And then has continued talking shit on me since. I searched my name on his account when we last checked in on him because somebody else linked one of his things. And he still talks to me every fucking day. I had not thought about this man until he got linked on January 1st when I was streaming. And I forgot who he was until we double checked there. Yeah, he's also homophobic. He's an asshole. He fucking said all sorts of homophobic shit at me. He's awful. Just a bad person. I don't fucking care. You know what? I'll dunk on him. Might have to switch accounts so that I can search him because I'm blocked. And get screenshots for this. Cool. Oh, that broke. Okay. Sorry, this is just Zen being slightly annoying. Switch that out. Delete that one. Crazy how the anti-OSS guy is also homophobic. It didn't change the sort order. Oh, it's the camera angle. Did I fuck up? Oh yeah, the table got bumped recently. I haven't fixed it yet. That's good enough. Yeah, I'll grab that clip. Oh yeah, my watch is always 3 minutes ahead. Keeps me on point. Cool. I just added this marker for you, Phase. Put this one in when I am talking about the Open Code ChatGPT partnership. As always, Open Code ships really fast. The Open Code OpenAI collab was done before I even finished streaming. So now you can use /connect in the latest version of Open Code to connect your ChatGPT Pro or Plus subscription plans to Open Code. That's the way to do it. And Adam's in chat. That tells you how fast and deep these guys are. Love it. They're trying so hard to do propaganda because they're getting owned right now. I might have to repost this one to fix the formatting because Twitter sucks. I'm going to do that. You know what? I'm going to use my phone to get the screenshots because it'll look better there. It's stupid, but it is true. Perfect. Crazy how the anti-OSS guy is also homophobic. There we go. That's the definitive version of that. Yeah. If he's going to be petty, I'll be pettier. Fuck him. I saw a DAX post I wanted to take a look at. Good shit. I think I've covered everything I want to today. Did I drag that over? Yeah, I did. Cool. What's this? Oh, this is to hide all the things on Twitter. I should use the minified or like Twitter minimal thing more, but I'm lazy. That's fine. That said, this does sound nice. I don't need to run in private. Add. And now if I refresh here. Ah, nice. That's really nice, actually. Thank you. Good shit, Pranch. Thank you for that. That's actually really good. Here's this if you guys want to help me blow up Mark. Not my Mark, that Mark. Doing a disservice to people named Mark with his bullshit. Let's figure out who we're rating before it's too late and I get too sick. Linus still alive? I throw you guys there. Oh, Jamie's back. I have to read Jamie. Have fun with Jamie. Thank you all for coming. If I'm feeling better by Sunday, I might go live again, but otherwise wait till Wednesday. Thank you all, as always, for everything. Thank you for coming through. Thank you, YouTube chat, even though you've crashed as well. It's crazy how unstable YouTube Live is, but I appreciate all of you guys for stopping by, for watching, for hanging out, for everything. Read what you said about Outer Wilds. It'll make me happy. I will take a look. Played Outer Wilds. This game gave me emotions you didn't know video games were capable of giving you. Seriously, probably the best piece of media you've had the pleasure of interacting with in a decade. Really want to talk about it with somebody. Did a blog post style thing. So insanely good. Had so many moments where you were just stunned. Can't spoil. Yeah, if you want to write that blog post or send me the blog post on DMs on Twitter, I will definitely see it. Eventually, my requests are a bit of a nightmare right now, but yeah, I would happily read that. I love that you loved it so much. I don't know if I'm the reason you played, but I'm thankful you did. And to everybody else, just play Outer Wilds. Trust me. Trust me on anything. Trust me on that. Have fun with Jamie. Thank you all, as always. Goodbye. Goodbye to YouTube as well. The buttons.